then it all comes crashing here and reminds me of the past. And sometimes I hear your name, sometimes I hear your name. It reminds me of the pain. Well, I guess you read me right, 'cause I am a foolish man. But at least I understand. But at least I understand. And I've learned to live with it. Memories like grains of sand, lying helpless on the beach, of the ones you need so bad, the ones you need so bad, are the ones you cannot reach. Morning, Uwe.
Hey, Robert.
Long time no see.
Finally, I can grab a panel from yours.
Yes. That's why I'm going to start doing morning ones on top of
Yeah,
the evening ones.
Aha.
Hey, Nexus.
the primetime Eastern standard is not very Europe friendly. Let's say it that way.
Yeah, that's why I'm going to have to. I think I'll start doing morning. Well, I'm not going to, or start going to. I am going to doing morning and evening.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a good idea, Wanda. I'm thinking chocolate cake and coffee in the morning. Great idea. Just no frosting. I hate frosting. Too much sugar for me. Say hello to everybody. Sonia, Steve, Wanda, of course, happy birthday. Hope you get all the spanks you want. So brave. Lynn. And if I missed you, I'm sorry, and I'll say hello anyway. How you doing, Red?
Hello, Red Cactus.
No, I'll be doing an evening one too, Red. I'm just opening up, doing an open panel in the morning for all the people on the other side of the planet. Once I get everything organized somewhat, I'll be doing two in the same day, just different perspectives. How you doing, Carrie? Good to see you. We have the great prickly one in the house.
Red Cactus.
Casey, how you doing?
She should be up on panel.
So anyways, I don't really have a direct topic for this morning, kind of impromptu. I know that Uwe has some things to talk about for a little bit, so I guess I'll let you go ahead and fire it off, Uwe. What's going on over there?
Yeah, I don't know how or what comes over the ocean from all the stuff that's going on here. First of all, there is a big government crisis here in Germany. So, as you maybe know, the government is out of three parties. It's a coalition of it used to be the Workers' Party, which is not a fact anymore. They had 20%. Then there's the Green Party in there. They had 16, I think, in the election, or 18. And the Liberals, they had 9. Yeah, and now, as it is like always, what they tell you before the election and what happened and what they're supposed to do, nothing of that was true. Nothing of that ever happened.
Oh, imagine that.
We all knew there was still pandemic and all that stuff. But as we have the Green Party in there, and our Merkel party, who is not in charge anymore, but they went quite green and left as well. But they used to be the conservatives, and the liberals always try to, they are in Germany. They always been like a candle in the wind. Where the wind blows, there they go, and that's what they still do. So now they have the big crisis because the Green Party, they they overtook it anyways with all this bullshit like all green energy and fossil free energy and shit like that power. So they they allowed to run 3 of our last nuclear power plants until the 15th of April. So it's about 3 more weeks, and then they shut the last 3 down. And yeah, and yesterday was very interesting. Stian saw in a YouTube channel. I watched that because he makes about 2-3 videos a day, and it was very interesting because the European Union declared last year that the nuclear power plants are absolutely carbon friendly, and they even support it, and they even give money for building it. So it's completely the opposite what the Germans say because they want to get rid of it.
I was going to say, isn't that the opposite of what they were doing before?
Exactly. And yeah, but it's only from Germany. Even France is going nuts because of the Germans shutting the last 3 plants down. And but now it comes out that the Germans, because we pay the biggest part of all the money out of the European Union, everybody knows that. But with that money from the European Union, they support other countries in the European Union to build up new nuclear power plants and even coal power plants. So that
Imagine
means we shut ours down, then we buying power from France, from Poland, from Czech Republic, from Belgium, where they still have nuclear power plants, and we pay with our tax money, paying other countries to build new ones. So you can imagine now what fucking stupidity that is. That's one thing. And then another thing that came out last week, and that's why the crisis is going on in the government. There was a leak in the government, it seems to be, and there came out what the Green Party is planning with our economy minister, and he's a vice chancellor as well. He had on plan that they want to forbidden gas and oil heaters in a house from 2024 on. That means that everybody who is building a house or want to build a house next year has to go with heat out of the ground or with an inverter pump, which is almost like an air condition, just the opposite way. Most air conditions work the way as well. You can cool and you can heat with that. But the thing is, with forcing everybody now that you can't do it anymore, it's either it's way more expensive, it's way less effective, and it doesn't matter. Maybe somebody has even already planned houses with all the stuff, and the house is not even built for a heat pump,
Well,
And then, wait, this is not the end. And then, from 2045, every house with an oil or with a gas heater has to redo it. So they have to take it out. They are not allowed to run a gas or an oil heater anymore. It doesn't matter if it's high efficient and anything. It doesn't matter. So the thing is, we taken off our nuclear power plants. We taken off our coal power plants. They say we're building windmills and we're doing solar panels and whatever. Everybody should buy a freaking electric car and everybody should have a freaking electric heater in the house now, which is the heating pump is nothing than electric. So anybody tell me where should that power come from? Where should it come from? Nobody knows.
Well,
I think.
that's the thing, Uwe. They're doing that all to the mainline countries. They're even doing it in Australia. You know, they're
Mhm.
cutting down their coal use and shit, but yet they're selling it to all these other countries.
Yeah.
Same thing here in the States. You know, all these countries from the bigger countries whose economies were doing good, to build up other countries, and then they sell it back to the very same people who are paying for it in the first place. You know, it's like a double shove it up your rear end thing. I don't get why people don't understand that that's what's going on. They
You
do
know-
jalapeno, pino. I'm not sure.
I think many are waking up now and understand what it is.
Well,
But they don't take
there
they
are.
don't take it serious, you know. I talked to my dad this morning, and he heard it in the news, but he's not taking it. First of all, he always says, "I have only a couple of years left. It doesn't bother me." But then he always says, "No, that will not. No, they don't do that." And I told him, "Look what they all did in the last 3, 4, 5 years, and everything got through. And once it's implanted, it's fucking hard to get rid of, you know."
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Look what they did in Nigeria. Why they pick a really poor country for the first trial with cashless currency? I can tell you why. Because most of them who are not involved in all these QR shit and card and all that stuff, they will be happy. Oh, look at this! I have to have my card or my clock and hold it to the automat and get my water. They don't realize
Yeah.
how they can fuck them up, you know.
I seen that. It's like they're all smiles. Oh, I can hold my card out, get water. Oh, great. That's awesome.
Because they
Mhm.
are not informed. And you can't even blame them because they was never involved in all that shit.
Mm-mm.
Well, no.
But they
Yeah.
but they are the lab rats now to do the stuff in public. It's I don't know.
Well, I don't
It's
think I don't think they're a lab rat, Uwe, as much as I think that's the start. You know, they'll gradually work their way through the systems. They'll have their infrastructure set up based off, you know, they'll work out their bugs there because, truthfully, they don't have anything to worry about there. And that's what they'll fix all their bugs, make everything work, see what they can do, and then they'll model that across the rest of the world. You know, it's everybody talks about superpowers and power plays and all that shit. It's all bullshit. It's all run by the IMF and stuff and how trade goes. And I don't mean trade as in countries. I mean trade as in your day-to-day life. You know, we're going to be stuck in a system that you have no recourse for choice. You're either going to toe the line or we'll just shut you off.
Mhm.
Yeah. And
I don't get why people don't understand that when, you know, as bad as fiat currency is, at least you can put something in your hand and have something tangible,
Yep.
you know, for trade. I mean, does the government need to know you sold your lawnmower to your neighbor? No, but they're going to want to tax you on it now. It's the same model as I said before with the tech giants. Instead of having just big taxes, they're going to have micro transactions where they're going to tax you on that as well. It's more a way of extracting more money out of the normal person's or average person's pocket.
Mhm.
You're not going to be able to function without them monitoring every damn thing you're doing. And then they want to implement, you know, the whole social scale thing and whatever the hell they want to call it. And If you don't toe the line, I guess you won't be able to travel, or you won't be able to buy certain goods or things like that. And people say, oh, no, that won't happen. Yeah, you watch. That's
Yeah.
exactly what'll happen.
That's exactly why they want to have everybody in electrical car. You can manipulate like a diesel or a petrol car. You can manipulate that via remote as well, but it's way easier with electric. I mean, you can even, if let's say you have an electric car with a GPS in there and all that stuff, and you criticized anybody who should not criticize, or you maybe drove over a red light 3 times in a month, and they say, you know what, we penalty him, and then they manipulate your GPS in your car, and it says you can go only whatever 50 kilometers out of this space, and further it doesn't go, and once you cross this line, the engine stops straight away. And that's easy for them to do. Easy.
Well, yeah, and they
Absolutely.
can shut you off from doing anything because you
Yep.
have a single point of failure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You're not going to have, as I said, your choices are going to be gone.
Absolutely. And
If they don't want an example, let's say they want to control movement of people around a state or around a country. Real simple. They can just tell you, well, no, you can't do it. We'll shut your shit off if you try. And they say, well, that won't happen. The hell it won't.
yeah, it will. And
What happens?
they
Go
don't
ahead.
even hide it, Robert. They don't even hide it.
No.
They say it. They say
No.
it in public. They say it in public, but nobody shows it on any mainstream media talk show or news show or whatever. You see all these videos on YouTube or other platforms about stuff what's going on the Davos meeting and stuff. You see that, but they don't show the real deal in the news or in the mainstream media channels. They don't.
Well, a lot of people don't think about the consequences. It sounds all great and nice and shiny on top, and we'll live in rainbow and unicorn shit and Skittles. But what they don't realize is they're actually begging for their own chains.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Under the guise of convenience. It's more and more I hear people when they say, well, why am I worried if they do this, or why am I worried if they do that? I can just do this. Well, no, you won't be able to. Like, I'll just use old vehicles. Well, that's fine. Yeah, it's great if you can get fuel for them, or they'll price you right out of them. They don't have to compensate anything. They'll just price you out of it. Example here being firearms. Well, they can't take firearms, so what do? They target the ammo manufacturers. Smart money 20 years ago would have been investing in ammunition, because it's went up many magnitudes. And it's the same thing. They'll do the same thing with fuel. If they don't want people using it, they'll just skyrocket the price. There won't be the manufacturing for it. They'll cut it off. Kind of the same thing that happened here. Our fuel prices tripled, and I'm sure they did in many other places. And that's what'll happen. And people just don't see it because we're still living in a half on, half off old school, like what we're used to in our age group, versus the younger ones coming up who really don't know any different. It's like saying everybody's going to use an electric car. Yeah, a horse shit. One, our infrastructure couldn't handle it.
No.
If that was the case, they'd have big works going on to upgrade the infrastructure, which they are not doing. So you already know they're not planning on that. And like you there, how many people are going to be able to afford to buy brand new electric vehicles and redo all their housing to run off electric for heating and stuff?
There's the next point. This with the let's say the low energy and low carbon stuff. That's not only coming from the German government, that's also coming from the European Parliament. And there's the next thing. If you are not, and I think it's either 2045 or 2050, which will not affect me because I will probably, if I'm there, I have maybe only 3 freaking mummels in my freaking brain going. But if you don't pass the, let's say, the energy pass or the whatever you want to call it, and your house is not prepared, they take your house. They made a law for that, and that's not a joke. That's an official law invented from the European Parliament that if you don't pass this test, they take your house.
Yeah,
So-
and they'll pick people off one at a time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
People work their ass off, sometimes for 2 or 3 generations, to pay all the stuff, and then there come any government or any freaking idiot, socialism, whatever you want to call it, and says, this is not yours anymore. We take it because you can't afford to make it that way we want to have it. It's absolute insane. Yeah, Rick. That's the next
Yep.
thing here too. There's the next thing. Our healthcare minister, our environment or economy minister, and our minister he's for the farmers and for the food and all that stuff. They were in Brazil 2 weeks ago, and this story, I think if I tell you that story now, you tell me you are fucking telling bullshit, but I'm not. They're coming there and visiting a little village there with a tribe, whatever, natives. They come there. They paint their faces like these Indios do. Go in that little village and meet the whatever mayor or chief or what you want to call them, and tell them, this is Jem. I'm Habeck, and we are minister in a German government, and we are like your chiefs. They come there and talk to these people like they talk to 3 years old in school and tell
Oh, yeah.
them bullshit.
For sure.
And then they
Mhm.
told them 1,000 years ago, all the forests in Germany got taken down. So we want to learn here how you do long-term foresting and all that shit. You gotta be kidding me. And since Lula is in office in Brazil, the roading of the freaking forest went up, not down. It went up about 12 or 15%. They taken more forest off than before. It's the insanity and the hypocrisy is so absolute and unreal. You wouldn't believe it.
Well, it's just like this saying that never brave popped back up, and we're all familiar with it now. You will own nothing, and you will be happy. Is how it
Yep.
should be put. The tone of that needs to be emphasized. You will be happy. It means you'll accept it or else. Too damn bad. And the thing of it is, we have so much pissing matches over which country's doing what and who's doing where and what and why. It doesn't matter. We're all in the same damn boat.
Yeah.
They're doing the same shit all over the world.
Yeah.
How you doing, Diego?
Hey, Diego.
Hey, Diego.
Good morning, Robert, Uwe, and Nexi. How are you guys doing?
Alive and
not bad.
kicking.
I'm doing okay.
I'm just about to pour my first cup of coffee. Yippee!
Well, I'm about a half a pot ahead of you there, Diego.
Oh yeah, but you
Uh,
drink coffee all the time, Robert. I don't. I literally just have one cup in the morning, and that's it.
I had
Yeah,
my
that
coffee.
definitely that wouldn't do it.
I had my cup several hours ago.
Cup. Come on. Now.
And have you heard about the second statement of Hirsch about the pipelines?
I guess you're gonna have to fill me in. How you doing, Bananas?
Because they all declared it as bullshit, and they said, "Oh yeah, we sent them out with there was 2 Ukraine with 2 helpers, and they went out there with a sailboat and shit."
Oh
He-
my goodness.
He went back, and he has, I don't know, but he seems to be having really good informating people in close to the government, but whatever. And he was saying, listen, 4 days after Scholz visiting Biden in Washington, they come out with this story. And this meeting they had, there was no official press conference. Nobody was involved in the meeting. There were only these 2 in that room where they had their meeting and stuff. And then he said he knows anybody who guaranteed that it is. He was only there for creating this story because they are exposed. And guess what now? Now, the German, because there was a couple experts here who said, you know what, that's absolute bullshit, because first of all, you can't even anchor with a freaking boat in 80 meters deep. That's the first thing. And then you can't go with some oxygen freaking bottles on your back, going down there, taking 50 kilo freaking dynamite and make boom, and then you come back home. If you go 80 meters deep, you have at least 3 to 4 hours before you can go back up, and you have to get different mixes of the gas and stuff. That's the first thing. And all this would be never ever carried on the 15-meter sailboat. No way. And the next thing is, now the mainstream media starting the bullshit again that the Russians bombed the pipeline on themselves. So,
well, that's anything, Uwe. It isn't just the pipelines. You can apply this to the Kool-Aid, the Koof, the whole narrative between countries and green energy and social issues and all that stuff. Some of the most absurd shit is passed out, and people, I shouldn't say people, some people believe it.
yeah.
You know, example being, one example that stands out to me that's utter bullshit is that the Canadian thing, and they actually had scholars back this up, stating that people who've had the magic potion drive better. Okay, you got to be some special kind of form of idiot to believe that.
Yeah, well, there are plenty of them around.
You know, no doubt, Diego, no doubt. You know, so that's the thing. They get caught with their pants down. It's blatantly obvious, and they'll just cover it in bullshit. But it's like anybody with a modicum of common sense is going, "What the hell? No way." But that's, you know, you either accept the narrative or you don't. It's just nuts. Some of the most absurd shit's passed off as factual truth. I guess we need to, we have objective, subjective, assumed, and then actual factual. Well, the actual factuals went right the hell out the window.
Yeah.
And what I don't get, and it's just like Arnie's panel he had last night, he was showing about Tencent in China. And I found it, I found it quite amusing that at the end of this documentary that they were doing, that the CCP decided to turn around and go after Tencent. You know, knock them down. And it falls under the same thing. They took advantage of it, built up a great big, corporate empire and stuff like that, and then turned around and got screwed by their own government, who was backing them in the first place, until they don't. That's the thing. That's I tell people, it's the saying goes, like, you sleep with dogs, you get fleas, or you swim with sharks, you're going to get eaten sooner or later. It's just the way it is. It's all a bunch of bullshit wrapped up to keep people distracted and chasing their tails. And it's even now with us, even talking about, we all see it. We know what the hell's going on.
What Bananas was typing in chat, when I read that yesterday, I honestly, I thought it is a joke, but apparently it's not. That Sleepy Joe gets to that school where this tranny has killed 6 people, and he is introducing himself and saying, yes, here I'm Joe Biden, I'm husband of Dr. Jill Biden, and I like ice cream. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
I thought I thought it's a scene of freaking Forrest Gump, man.
That's funny, but it isn't. It's a sad reality of nowadays. I can't even begin to delve into what I think about that, but that is the level of absurdity that people are expected to believe nowadays, or to accept.
I think it's even more disgusting than absurdity. If you come to a school where whoever it is killed 3 children and 3 adults, and you starting a speech with that bullshit as the
Yep.
president of the United States, I thought, oh my fucking god, man, this is absolute. That's disgusting, man. Absolute disgusting.
Well, for sure. But do you think they really give 2 shits?
Unbelievable.
They don't even give one.
And that's the thing, trying to get, it's like we talk to people on these panels from all over the planet, and a lot of things that people talk about, well, your country does this, or your people does that, or you do this, or they do that, or this. It's all baloney. All of our countries in leadership are doing the same damn thing in one way, shape, or form. It might not be the exact same thing, but the writing's on the wall. They're all headed towards the same goal. And what I find hilarious, sadly for the people, but I do find hilarious, is all the ones in government backing this, just like Tencent found out with China, they're going to find out they're not going to be a special snowflake either, because just like the Bolshevik Revolution, and the academics decided to back them, and they found out their heads ended up being on the chopping block in the end too. That's what these idiots don't understand.
Yeah. No, honestly, that's something that doesn't fit in my brain anymore. Honestly. And nobody is standing up and say, okay, there's the red line, and now it's overcrossed, But they have no red lines anymore. It doesn't matter what topic it is. There is no red line.
That's because the acceptance. Go ahead, Diego.
Yeah, no, yes, there is, at least for me. I've been seeing a trend lately that I do not like. Rephrase. That's disgusting. And the trend that I'm seeing, and this is coming from people that we know and we're supposed to have fun with, is twofold. One, if you're not PC, then you're not them. And second, if you point out things that are wrong, they get upset. And I'm not okay with that. I'm sorry. If I see something that's wrong, if somebody, for example, spreads misinformation on a channel where I go to simply have fun, I'm going to get pissed. And I'm going to say so. Whether they like it or not is irrelevant. And if they say, you know what, we don't want you on our channel anymore, then so be it. I won't be on the channel anymore. But I am not standing by while lies are being spread. Not happening. And if there's something wrong, and and I simply point it out, and they don't like it, again, I don't care. I you know, sometimes I feel alone on an island, and I'm the one screaming, "This is wrong! This is wrong! This is wrong!" And the rest of the islands around me say, "You're not supposed to talk about that." I'm going, really? Now I'm not even supposed to talk about it amongst what is supposed to be my own people?
Well, I think
Sorry.
a lot of that's by design too, Diego. It's to keep people feeling like they're alone on their own island. That's why I said the perspectives when it comes to different countries. There's a lot of things going on in different places, and none of them are good. They may not be consistent across the board, but they are absolutely a goal towards the same. They are move towards the same goal, and that's going to be the unification of governments, where they fall under one rule, and everybody is going to have it shoved up their rear end. As simple as that.
Yeah. I mean, look, Robert, and Uwe, for that matter, it doesn't really matter. You guys right now are interchangeable in this statement. If I have a discussion with you and I don't agree with you, you're not going to get upset at me because I disagree with you. You want to know why I disagree, and then maybe maybe I change your mind, maybe I don't. It doesn't really matter. But we have a conversation. Now it's got to the point where everybody is so conditioned to just immediately build up a wall when they hear something they don't want to hear.
Yep.
And nothing gets through.
Yeah, there are different reasons for that. Some are scared to hear the other side, or it has to be not even the other side that is true, but they are scared to listen to others because in the mainstream or in the narrative, there's only one way, and everybody who goes a little bit left or a little bit right of that way is either a Nazi or a conspiracy theorist or whatever he is, you know. And that's what people maybe are scared for now, even in their private life, to 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 go back to the roots of a discussion that you have 2 or 3 different opinions, or sometimes 4, but you still can talk about it and say, okay, we don't come to a result or to a solution. Let's stop it and let's go on another topic. But just going on your side and saying, you know what, fuck this. No, that's definitely not a solution.
By the way, Bananas, hi. I haven't seen you in a very long time, man.
Well, and that's the thing, though. It's pointing thing out. People are being conditioned to not listen to each other. It becomes an argument over narratives, when in the big picture of things, we're all getting it shoved up our ass. Being told how you're supposed to think or how you're supposed to react to something. Well, don't talk about this, or any number of things. And a lot of it is a lot of people feel powerless now too. The last few years and what they did absolutely crushed a lot of people's souls.
Yeah,
You know,
That was their plan.
true, absolutely.
I'm not sure if powerless is the right word. I I kind of think scared is the correct word.
Well, I don't
People
know.
are scared to speak their mind because they don't want to receive the backlash it may bring.
Well, for sure. I mean, I guess what I'm trying to get people to understand, and like Sonia says, the question is what do we do? And the thing is, we need to go back to understanding that we're all human. We all live in different places. We all have different points of view, and that's why
Well,
the thing I said earlier is there's objective, subjective, assumed, and fact.
how about a really simple, a simple way to get around all of it? Speak your truth.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
mean, it is that simple. Don't hold back. You have something to say it. And then if somebody comes back at you, then you can have a discussion or whatever. But my lord, I mean, if you keep holding in what you really feel all the time, you're gonna die of stress.
Well, and a lot of things too. A lot of people now have an adversity to being wrong. I mean, even I myself on this channel, I've had a couple people show me. You were here, Diego, on one of them, to show me that I was wrong, and I accepted that. And you have to be willing to accept that just as much as somebody else or anybody else. And I'll say this till I'm blue in the face. If you want to look at things objectively, the very first place you better start is looking in the mirror. We all aren't a all-knowing knowledge of all information or all facts or outcomes, but we all are part of the system. And it's becoming more and more apparent every day that we aren't as disconnected as we are led to believe. Most average people just want to live their lives, maybe raise a family, maybe not, live happy, do whatever, without being bothered every time they turn around. But see, that's not acceptable to some in society, those in charge. They figure everybody should bend to their will and their ideals. Or in cases of many things that went on, their ideologies. When people are moved to the point, and I think everybody knows what I'm talking about, where your belief that the whole world is against you, that you're willing to take other people's lives for it, over an ideology, is sickening. And that's happening in all aspects of life. The narratives, the half-truths that governments tell people, or the little buzzwords or cliches that are used. What they don't understand is all these things are used to influence people in their thoughts. And we don't even know it. It's just like me having a president come out and he's supposed to represent this country. And the only thing he can do is laugh and giggle about fucking ice cream. If that isn't a testament to how sick this world really is, I don't know what is.
Yeah, that was really, really bad, my lord. Oh, and no brave, and you're absolutely right. A lot of people can't handle the truth. It's true.
A very good example is that video what Diego and Robert you both seen. This is climate expert and the mainstream media journalist trying to force him to prove his bullshit, but he didn't expect that he getting freaking exposed and called out as an idiot. You know, if that would happen every time when somebody, it doesn't matter what topic it is, starting to bring bullshit like that, if that would happen all the time, this would be over in a heartbeat.
Well, look at it this way, Uwe, when it comes to the science, all right? I'll use the analogy that everybody's been on for the past few years, the follow the science or believe the science. But what we had wasn't science.
No, it wasn't.
And here's the thing. Can you say without a doubt that many people who are vehemently backing certain narratives, no matter which side you're on, and what may be objective truth to me may not be objective truth to Diego just because of the information they have personally. You know, yeah, and no, Brave, you're probably very correct in that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. The manipulation of information and objective truth is not the same for everybody, depending upon the information that they've had access to. I mean, even myself here in this past month now, I literally had someone wish me dead.
Oh,
That's no joke, Dakota. Absolutely.
I was, yeah, that's effed up.
And they were very vehement about it. They believe that. They think that people with the train of thought that I have are going to be the death of them. That's therein lies the problem when people become polarized in their ideas, not just in a society or a European or Australian or German or Chinese or Japanese or American or Mexican or whatever. You know, there's nothing absolutely wrong with nationalism at all. But it's the access to information that, if it's twisted in such a way, it becomes an us or a you versus them. And that's the worldview that you see. And trying to get people to understand that isn't exactly how it is. It isn't the truth. Just like when I was proven wrong by somebody, I literally told them, if I'm wrong, show me I'm wrong. Prove it to me. I didn't scream and holler. I didn't kick and scream. And they showed me I was wrong. And I'm like, okay, down it comes. I admit I'm wrong. And we all have to remember that our worldview has been narrowed by our own governments and by our own society. I don't know about that, Lieutenant Nescafe. I guess it depends on how you want to define nationalism.
One thing for sure, it's it's been like travelism is something that.
Yes, but you have to define that nexus. Our language has been perverted. You know, I mean, I can name off several examples of definitions of words that have been changed just in the past few years.
Okay.
I have seen a very interesting discussion on Bild TV. Diego knows what Bild is. Bild is the biggest German daily newspaper, and they have a YouTube channel and also a TV channel. Not too many. I think they're about 1.3 million subs on the YouTube channel, but they have sometimes good discussion. I don't go there by there because they are almost on the narrative as well. But sometimes they had good discussions on because there is everybody allowed to speak. And a couple of weeks ago there was an economic expert and two scientists in that show, and it was not only specific on the pandemic stuff. It was almost in general about scientists. And the thing is that most of these studies, most of any whatever what get declared or called out, comes from big universities or whatever, and they are mostly all financed by whatever. And the one of these scientists said that Humboldt had said scientism or a scientist should be independent from money to everybody. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can't get, because if you get paid, or if all that stuff gets financed by whatever company, whatever it is, they force you to a
And that
result.
shouldn't be the case.
Exactly. They force you to a result what has to be coming out at the end, you know? And that's what
Mhm.
Humboldt mean. If you are independent and you do it only for the science and not for anybody else or whatever, then you are
Mhm.
concentrated on that what it should be focused on, you know? And I think that was a very, very smart call from I didn't knew that Humboldt said that, because honestly, I have to say I know Humboldt. I know that he was very intelligent and he was all South America and where he always was. But I didn't hear that speech at all in my life before. But it was very smart, I think.
Yeah, and there's actually there was a talk show that I listened to recently that was addressing the same thing, and one of the I want to say it was a molecular biologist stated that even trust in published stuff nowadays is lost, even from the academics.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He says, conflicts of interest should be stated outright, right at the top. It's sad and it's kind of sickening that somebody would be influenced in a scientific outcome by finance, but
Mhm.
unfortunately, it's a reality of the world we live in.
Yeah.
Influence can come in many different ways, be it a job, be it money, be it a social belief, or any number of things. Does that make it true? No. Does it make it true to them? Maybe. But it isn't. How can I put this? It doesn't make it any better than just a whim, kind of like the
Mhm.
whole idea when they and I can say this now, I think, the idea that masks were going to do anything for the past 3 years. Anybody with any kind of knowledge of that, including surgeons or anything like that, knew that was all BS, and it was based off BS. But therein lies the problem. Look at how that narrative and that idea took off like wildfire to this day. I still see people running around with them. I'm thinking that it's doing them some good.
Mhm.
And as I said, that is totally framed by the knowledge circle that they have or the acceptance of it. They won't believe unless it comes from a certain person or a particular thing. And trying to explain to somebody, don't shoot the messenger. I don't care if you like or dislike who's saying it.
Mhm.
look at what they're presenting. And it's hard for people to do that.
Yeah, Andy, I believe, was the one that on a different panel that pulled up a photo that was very funny, but at the same time also very true. And I thought it was really, really good. And the picture was of a grocery cart, and the saying said something like, "Wearing a mask is the equivalent of trying to fill this grocery cart with sand."
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, absolutely.
You know what is really funny? Or I don't even think it's funny. When I was in rehab last week, they had a couple positive COVID cases in the clinic, and they made a letter to everybody. Not they didn't force it because they're not allowed to anymore. But they said it would be advice from us to wear masks if you not can keep social distance from 1.5 meters or 2 meters. Would be good if you wear a mask. And that was the first time I was thinking, okay, there is people awake now. And it doesn't matter if they got the shot or not, because it was not even 10 or 15% who was wearing the mask. Not in the dining room, not in the therapies or whatever. But then on the other side, there was 2 doctors in that clinic. They were running around with the mask all the time. And I thought myself, oh my gosh, what did these guys studied? Honestly, Eh, I don't get it how a doctor can believe in that shit and think he can protect himself or anybody else. I thought this is absolute absurd, absolutely absurd.
Yep. All right, Bananas, you have a good one. Take care, guy. Good to see you, Bearded.
Take care, Bananas.
the thing, Uwe, and that's why I said it comes back to, objective, subjective truth. And narratives are spun throughout different societies
Mm.
on many different levels. It doesn't, as I said, it doesn't matter whether it's social, political, scientific, or whatever. The level of influence that a lot of people don't even realize is happening, whether it's the perversion of language, the perversion of information, or something as simple as Diego pointed out, a meme, like pouring sand through a grocery cart. In that case, it conveys a message of absurdity. But in the same token, the same tactics are used to sway people into believing things. It's recognizing those things and being able to realize that we are all being played in one way, shape, or form, be it through social circles, be it through government, be it through whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's gotten worse.
No,
It's
for
gotten worse
sure.
to the point that people are now believing it so much they're doing it to each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is,
Mhm.
you want to talk about dictatorship 101, that is one of the rules. You don't fight the masses, you make the masses fight themselves.
Yep.
Yep.
It's
You know,
sickening to me. I mean, really, and I mean that in a quite a literal sense. My stomach turns every time I think about it.
yeah, and I don't know if I can pinpoint a time to say that it started, or if it's just been something in one way, shape, or form, been throughout society, throughout all of our history. We are like children for the most part when it comes to those aspects.
Mm-hmm.
It's like in school, you were used to be, not so much anymore, but you were literally expected to critically think about things. And even that isn't a ticket to, shall we say, blissful knowledge, because unless we have access to all information, which I find, as you say, quite sickening, Diego, how people are expected to believe things when truth of the knowledge is being withheld and hidden. I mean, when I watch senators and representatives in my own government pulling up papers that they literally are redacted to the point that they tell you absolutely nothing, and these are the people who are supposed to be making decisions that control our whole country, and in a lot of aspects affect a lot of other countries. That's a problem. And if people, in my opinion, if they're going to hide information from our very own representatives, the people who are supposed to be there as our voice, something has to change. Because whether we trust them or not, how do you make decisions based upon partial information or no information? And in my opinion, if they're holding it back, they have something to hide. That's another aspect that we seem to have lost. I'm of the mind that if they don't want to show me something, then I guess I have to expect the worst. If you were to go into a court of law and you get caught hiding information, it's assumed guilt. But yet our governments are doing it every day to the whole damn population across the world. Like Uwe was talking about power, and how they're doing things. They're basically funding their own. They're funding the very same thing that they're going to turn around and sell it back to them. That's insanity. But yet many people will accept that because it follows the "how dare you" narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
When they don't understand, they're being played just as well. Yes,
But that's another thing.
There's nothing to hide. Absolutely.
That's another thing. Give somebody power, he will never give it back.
That's untrue. That's untrue, Uwe. It's those who seek power will never give it back. Those who do not seek power over others are generally probably going to be your best leadership. But we don't pick those kinds of people. That's the unfortunate part. We literally put the parasite society on a pedestal. Or many do. Many of us don't until after the fact. And there's many different ways to measure that, but it's very easy to look at what's going on with Davos and the WEF. And the IMF, for that matter, what they're trying to ram through with the whole digital currency thing. That's going to be their pathway to the whole thing. I don't know how true this is. I can't back it up with anything because I haven't looked into it yet. But somebody was telling me that one of their banks they went to was shut down because they were switching over to digital. Which truthfully, all they'd have to do is just say we're no longer going to give out cash. And what's happening right now, I can see now they're going to devalue currency across the world. which is already happening, in the push to get everybody to go to digital.
Mm-hmm.
About 2 months ago, there was a discussion between Brazil and Argentina that they want to go dollar independent and want to make a currency for both countries.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, the BRICS countries overtook economy on the NATO or on the other Western world already. The BRICS is Russia, China, India, Saudi Arabia,
Yeah, but let me point something.
Brazil, South America. You know,
Let me point something out, Uwe. It's nothing more than the same old song and dance.
Yeah.
That's nothing more, in my opinion, than a distraction. China itself has already moved substantially to a digital currency and to
Yeah.
a social credit system. The only reason they're actually still using a type of currency is trade between different countries. Once it becomes ubiquitous across all countries when it comes to digital currency, none of that will make any difference whatsoever.
I mean,
It's all going to be under one umbrella.
mm-hmm. One world currency.
I still don't see it happen with that one world currency.
I do,
I
Uwe.
still
I do.
I absolutely do.
It's inevitable.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
sorry to say that.
It's a consolidation of control under one umbrella, and those who wish to be in charge are salivating over it now because it's so close. It's going to be for them because the idea is you can't bring up all countries to the same level when it comes to living standards. So what do they got to do? Just like equity, they're not going to raise the bar, they're going to lower everything. Where expectations of people who have lived in excuse me, a lot of Western cultures and have a relatively high standard of living, comparatively speaking, are going to be lowered to expect less.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Robert, I'm gonna send you something. It would be cool if you can show that. I think that was very interesting and so true. And that's nothing what you can get hit for, I think. I don't know if you can make it big enough that everybody can see it. Probably not.
Yeah, one second with it. You have to give me a second. I got to email it to myself. Let's see if it'll go through.
Yeah, that's
Oh, give me 1 second. My sinuses are killing me at the moment.
I'm gonna go for a pee anyway.
I'll wait for Uwe to return.
All right.
I see at least people in the chat are debating about what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Really great conversations in chat. That's for sure. You got 20 people. Make that 22 people watching. So,
Did it
I
work?
believe Nexus.
the what?
I said I believe those numbers about as far as I can throw them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cindy?
Yeah.
Good to see you. Are you
Yeah.
back, Uwe?
Yeah, I'm back. Did it work?
Well, I
Yeah.
don't know. I'll tell you in a second. I was waiting for you.
This is your fairy gold mother. And I want to show you the difference between real money and fake money. Let's start with a dollar bill. This was created to mimic this. Can you see how tiny it is? But today you can buy 3 cents. Well, guess how much this is? If you want to buy it today, it's $460. This is fake money that was created to mimic this. This is a $5 gold coin. And guess what? If you wanted to buy that today, it's $719. This is a $10 bill. It's actually legal tender. In other words, you can take this to the store and use it. It was created to mimic this. And today's retail price is $1,369, $1,369. And how about this one? You can take this to the store. I'm not sure you can buy that much with it. And you certainly can't buy this $20 gold piece. If you were buying this one today, it'd be $2,694. This holds your purchasing power. This destroys your purchasing power. This is in your control. This is in their control. Which would you rather have?
I think that was very cool and good explanation.
Yeah, absolutely.
How they fucked us up.
Yeah, it it wouldn't matter. Excuse me. It wouldn't matter what the commodity is, and gold is a commodity.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that it is tangible value. Hence why it's not fiat. That's why, damn it. The thing about that, when the banking system come in, and this has been ubiquitous through history,
Yeah.
If you have a commodity that lasts throughout the years, it's going to hold its value. Hence why money was made out of gold and silver. It didn't relatively tarnish too bad, and it lasted a long time, and it was a direct representation of its current value at the point of either creation or earning. Whereas if you earned $100,000 and you kept it in cash for the past 20 years, if you just kept it in cash under your bed per se, you've lost a shit ton of that earnings value that was created at its point of creation. It's devaluation of work or of goods or of services. The other thing is you can't do fractional lending on a actual tangible object, a tangible commodity. You can't create gold out of thin air, but they can create money, which is really funny, out of thin air.
Yep.
Or I should say fiat currency, because fiat currency really is not money in the perceived value of its original definition. There's many reasons. I'm looking at chat. There's many reasons why currencies and stuff are the way they are. It's nothing more than a shell game when it comes to the average person as to how to hold your value. Hence, you used to be able to outright own property. Now you can't. You really don't own anything now. The simple thing is they'll just tax you out of it. Simple as that. Under the guise of social norms. There's so many aspects to that can be touched upon, and people are just like anything else. I said they're going to have different views and points of views and ideas just because of where they're from, what they're experienced, what they've seen and learned. There's so many things that can be touched upon when it comes to that. And consolidation seems to be the name of the game right now. The unfortunate part I don't think people understand is the more things are consolidated, the more singular points of failure you have. Just like Uwe with them getting rid of all their nuclear and coal powered, now what are they doing? They're buying power back from the very people they funded to build the things they shut down in his own country.
Yeah.
That is a whole new level of absurdity.
Yeah.
It's just it's the way it is. Thoughts, anybody else? Wow, I've managed to quiet down a whole panel. That's interesting.
I mean, sorry, Diego, go ahead.
I was thinking, I was thinking about that when you said thoughts, anybody. And I was thinking about something that you said earlier. And I think you were absolutely right. how are people going to see what's really going on, big picture,
Hmm.
if they can't even realize what they're doing wrong themselves?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really boils down to that.
Well, it also boils down to how do you confirm whether you're being deceived or not? You know, that's what the politicians and the well, I shouldn't say the politicians because most of them, in my opinion, nowadays are nothing more than puppets.
Yep.
But the puppet masters of society. You know, everything from predictive social norms used to influence everything from even what we're doing now. With the stuff we see on here and the ads and the news and everything, even the littlest things nowadays are boiled down to pinpoint to influence people's thoughts.
Mhm.
And they don't realize how influential those things really are. You know, as they say, you can tell a lie 100 times and it'll become truth. Until it's not, till it blows up in your face. But usually by that time, it's too late. And the people who instigate it aren't the ones that pay the price, it's the average person.
Yeah, but that's where also, if you can say talk a lie 100 times and then it's starting getting true, that's the first thing what is really really wrong, eh?
Well, but that goes back to molding the narrative in society. If they hadn't literally scared the holy crap out of everybody at the beginning of the coup, they would have never been able to implement the stuff they did. But it was, as they say, never let a crisis go to waste.
Mhm.
They run with that. I mean, not just governments, but the puppet masters did. They run with it.
Mhm.
They used every bit of it, and they're still using every bit of it. Look how many countries now are still hanging on to all those narratives that have now objectively been proven to be false, like the whole mask thing. But yet you still, in many places, well, like here, you go to the doctor's office or whatever, they have on their door, you're supposed to wear a mask. I tell them to shove it up their fourth point of contact. Gets me a couple
Mhm.
dirty looks, but I really don't care. You know, my first words to them, prove to me that's effective and I'll put one on. If you can't prove that, then you're asking me to do something absurd.
Yeah, you won't get in the doctor's office here without a mask. And it's interesting that you mention it, because just yesterday,
Hold
on Monday.
Hold on. Ove, hold your thought. Please hold your thought for 1 second. I want to address something. You know, Lieutenant, on the surface, that sounds like a great idea. But see, I have grandchildren. And I give a shit about the world that they're going to grow up in, that they're going to have to live in. It'd be very selfish of me to take that point of view. I not only have to care about how my life is, I have to care about how theirs is going to be. Okay, Uwe, sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, like I said,
I threw him off.
and like I said, I was at the doctor's office on Monday when I came out from rehab. And funny you say it, there came a guy in. He was probably in the middle 60s, maybe 70. He was just there to pick up a recipe for the pharmacy, and he came in there without a mask. And there was one of the young doctors come just by to the entrance and asked him, "Oh, don't you have a mask? You have to go. You have to pick your mask. You can't stay in here, you know." And that's doctors, man. It's doctors. So that guy was in there. He would be out in less than 2 minutes, just picking up his freaking document and go ahead. But here, everywhere, it's you don't need a mask anymore. In that rehab clinic where I was, nowhere you need a mask anymore. Only in as visitors in hospitals or as in a doctor's office. That's it. Everywhere else, you don't need a mask anymore. But the funny part is that, as you all know, this is not North America or this is not Australia. So it's all very small here. So when the mask stuff came to the end, at the end of last year, you was driving with the train, let's say from here to Kiel, which is on the east, on the Baltic Sea. You had to wear a freaking FFP2 mask the whole trip. And once you crossed the border from Hamburg to Schleswig-Holstein, you could take it off because the virus didn't exist there in that state, you know?
Yep.
The same was with airplanes. The Germans tried to force it still on the airplanes, but all the other countries didn't go along. So what they had to do, they couldn't do it anything else and don't care, you know? So then you had to wear the mask here in buses or in a train. But if you fly from here to Munich or from here to Paris or from here to Barcelona, whatever, you don't need a mask. So
Yeah, it's kind of funny how borders can stop the coup for, like, the whole idea of people not going out at night. I guess the virus must have come out at night, you know, and attacked people or something.
yeah, this was by far the most intelligent virus ever. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
that came only out between 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. So
Yeah.
at work it was not there. It didn't like to fly for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe any problem. Then there came borders. After that border, there was no virus anymore. You know, there was by far the most intelligent virus in history ever.
Not only that, going to a restaurant, sitting down. I mean, there's also a certain height as well.
And that was even on the beginning, you know, when they opened the restaurants again, you know, you came in there, had your freaking mask on, and you sit down on your place. You take the mask on, you take the mask off. If you want to go to the restroom, you have to wear it again. You know, it makes absolutely sense for everybody.
Yeah, Nexi, that whole restaurant thing is not because the virus was so intelligent. It's because the virus was so polite. It realized that we have to eat.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, now you got me, Diego. That is an explanation I can't go against. So now I understand it anyway.
that was a good one. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, 1 second, guys. Mike Hurry or Adam Gillis, whichever name you want to use. You're gonna have to turn your camera on, and you're gonna have to type into my chat before I'll let you on panel. All right, you want to type into my chat? Give me 1 second here. I don't see your stuff coming into my chat there, Mike.
I don't know.
Yeah. Some strange stuff happened, eh? But all these facts didn't help most people to say,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Well, that's why I said absurdity it can very easily become the norm. Make people stop thinking.
Yeah, it all started what I mentioned before about this show where these two scientists and the economy specialist were talking. It all started
Mike, I mean,
with
hold
the,
on. Mike, I mean into my normal chat, not into the private chat, into the chat of the YouTube.
it's a very old YouTube account anyway.
Yeah.
2000. Oh.
All right. There you are. How you doing, Mike?
Hey, dude.
You got something to add to the conversation, or what's up?
No, I just want to be a part of what's going on right now.
Well, what's your thoughts on what we've been talking about then?
I missed it. Can you give me a TLDR?
So you just jump on a panel randomly and you don't even know what they're talking about?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Really?
Yeah.
That's strange.
I don't know why that's strange. I think you're all very nice people, and I just want to be a part of what you're a part of.
Yeah, but you are a part of in the chat as well. If you don't even know what is going on, that's, I mean, Robert's question is not coming out of nowhere. I mean,
Well, here's what I think. I think that older people have a lot of wisdom, and I love to hear their stories, and I love to hear their thoughts, and I want to hear your thoughts, and I want to be a part of that. Now, if you don't want me to be a part of that, I understand that, but I kind
No,
of
that's not a
love.
problem. I find it a little odd that you don't know what the subject is and you're jumping up on panel.
I mean, I think that people can understand a lot of subjects.
No, I think, Mike, you're missing the point. The point is you want to be part of the conversation? No problem. That's a
Mhm.
good thing. And
Thank
you
you.
know what? You can be a part of that conversation. And while you're looking at chat and reading and figuring out what the actual conversation is, then it's time to go on a panel to actually, well, have a conversation. But to just jump on a panel without actually having any idea of what's being talked about, and then asking people for TLDR, which is the height of, in my opinion, laziness. That's kind of the issue that Robert is trying to address.
You see, to me, TLDR is not the height of laziness. It's actually the heart. It's actually the heart of accessibility. It's trying to say, I'm trying to be part of this conversation. I kind of want the easiest route. And in a big way, I think that's education. Because you go, okay, how's the easiest route I'm going to access this thing or that thing? Please give that to me. And that is TLDR, Diego. And that's just what I was, and that's what I was asking about.
Well, that's not a
So,
problem as long as it's genuine. Not at all.
yeah, thank you.
As you know,
And
I
it was
mean,
genuine. It was genuine. You know.
well, I don't have a problem with that. I guess I'm gonna be staring at Diego's avatar for a bit. I kind of like peppers. Um, so let me ask you, what part of the world you from there, Mike?
I'm from England.
From England?
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about world currencies and how narratives are falsified and how different belief systems work depending upon the circles they travel in. What's your take on what's going on in England?
I mean, currency-wise.
Well, just currency or social or any of those.
Well, I mean, currency-wise, I have to look at our currency right now and have to say it's not doing very well. I mean, versus the dollar, you know, it used to be the fact that it'd be like £2, 2 British pounds to the dollar was just a known fact here. If you're in England, you'd be like, haha. Seriously, we would laugh at the dollar. We would laugh at it. The American dollar, we'd laugh at it. But right now, we don't know. We don't know. Is it equal? Is it about like £1.50 to the dollar? We don't know. So that's where we're at with the currency exchange.
Well, I'm not. How about day-to-day living for people though, when it comes to value of their work versus their purchasing power?
It's not very good. It's not very good. I mean, I'm in an unfair position because I'm in an upper class family, so I don't have an exact knowledge of the lower class people. But I have an observation of the people that look after, say, my older relatives, and they're not doing very well. They're living hand to mouth. We have food banks here. Food banks being where people with more money pay for food, and they pay for canned food, and they put it in places, and then volunteers hand it out to people, and the poorer people accept it. They accept it with a lot of shame. They accept it with a lot of regret. But people here kind of half accept it, and it's weird. So yeah, where are we at? We're at where people basically have to accept, here's a couple of scraps of food, you better take that. That's where we're at.
Have you
So
ever heard
being-
about the 15-minute city in Oxford? They're gonna start next year. Have you ever heard about it?
What about Oxford?
15-minute
will be-
cities.
Oxford will be the first 15-minute city.
Okay, so I live in London, especially. I can get to anywhere in London. I can get to Waterloo. I can get to Victoria in about half an hour. Cutting the time of places is basically made for the rich. That's what hate. There's a thing here where the government has bought a lot of land for the rich, and it's called HS2. And everyone's going, oh my gosh, wow, you've paid so much for this land. Yeah, it's only going to benefit the rich. Yeah, the rich knew that. And it's called HS2. So yeah, there's 15-minute cities. But our higher echelons, they're looking for half an hour travels of anywhere. That's where they're looking at.
Well, what he's
Yeah.
talking about 15-minute cities is people will live their lives no more than 15 minutes from where their home is to narrow down people's movements. Are you aware of that?
I don't know whether it's a bad thing. So I need to I need that
The
explained.
bad
to
thing
others.
is the bad thing on that is that you are just allowed for 100 days a year to leave your district, whatever you want to call it. And therefore, you have to get permission to leave your district from the mayor house or any council or whatever. And it's basically about control. That you can't go whenever you want and wherever you want. That's what it's
Think the
about.
movie Hunger Games. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I need to know where the permission part comes in.
The idea behind it is if you're going to travel outside of your 15-minute zone, you have
Uh-huh.
to get permission from your council.
Yeah, you don't understand how England works. Listen, I understand that I understand that that's how you want it to work, but basically they'll just
No,
charge you.
that's not how I want it to work. They're trying this across different countries, not just England.
No, yeah, but they'll just charge you money basically for it. Now, if you want to
No,
talk
no,
about,
you didn't got it. You know, there will not be like fun. So you know, there will be fences, there will be walls, which you can't pass it with an QR code that gets accepted by that gate, whatever there is, or your plate number from your car, and if it's not accepted, the door will not open. You know, and you don't leave your district. Then it doesn't matter where you want to go. That's what it's all about.
I would suggest, Mike, I guess if that's the name you're going by,
thank you.
that you look up the idea of 15-minute cities.
Now, I know
Um,
the idea of 15-minute cities.
I don't think so. That you would not talk the way you do. I mean, for you, it seems to be like a nice thing. You know, it's everything else than
Well,
being
I
nice
think
to
it. I
be
think
loved.
it's. I think it's something that does not matter.
you think living your life, all your life, within 15 minutes of where your home is a good idea?
Okay, you're right. You're right. They're gonna get truck drivers to work 15 minutes at a time where they are.
Well, no. I'm not speaking of that.
Oh no. So that's the exception. That's the exception, but you know what you're talking about is real.
Let me ask
Come
you
on.
this: do you have relatives that live more than 15 minutes away from you?
Yep, I do.
So your only connection to them would be what?
Via bus, via coach.
If you're allowed to travel outside your area.
Oh, you're right. I guess they. Who's gonna not let me access them outside my area? Dude, who is. Okay, this is kind of ridiculous. So, who is saying these are the areas I'm gonna live by?
That's the idea of a 15-minute city.
No, I get it. Yeah, but that's a travel version and that's a cost version. I'm in London, dude. Like,
Yeah, I know.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, but it's not how it's gonna be. You're saying.
Really?
Yeah.
So please explain to me then, when their idea of the layout is they're going to have a ring road. And you can go look this up. Absolutely look it up. They're going to have a ring road that travels around the areas. I guess they're going to the idea, not that I think it'll be successful, but the idea behind it is that you will travel around the area that you're in, and everything that you need or do in life is supposed to reside within those 15 minutes. Under the guise of, responsible climate and carbon and social credit scores and all that stuff. I mean, would you yourself want to be, I don't know how old you are, but would you want to be confined and have bureaucrats decide whether or not you get to leave your ringed area of 15 minutes? Do you think that's something government should be doing?
Firstly, I have no idea how, these people are enforcing that. I don't know if you know the laws. What is the exact law that they're enforcing here?
There isn't a law that they're enforcing at the moment. They're doing tests to see whether or not how many people will go along with it, which there does seem to be a substantial amount of people who do seem to think it's a good idea. And then the laws will follow if they're successful.
By the way, well, okay. I mean, we're going to get down to basics here. So I kind of agree with them in the sense of a community. A community should be about 15 minutes. I mean, if you're talking about truck drivers, yeah, sure. They should be however long.
No,
So
I don't get it.
unless it's a work guided thing, not a personal thing, then it's okay, is what you're saying.
Well, you're defining personal here. I mean, personal should never be a description.
Well, how should it not be? I live my own life.
But then you're gonna lose, dude.
Hold on. Do you think someone else should dictate where you can and cannot go on a whim?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep. Your group.
And I got to add on that.
So let me ask you this:
Mhm.
what is the difference between a 15-minute city and a prison?
Race.
What does
What?
race have to do with it?
I don't know. A prison is for the black people. A 15-minute city is probably for the white people.
Oh no, dude.
Okay.
Bye now. See ya. You're gone.
I think he's more like a troll.
He just got bye-byed.
But I got to add, Robert. I don't know if you know it, but Oxford had a referendum. I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, don't worry, Sonia.
And-
He got the big old the size 14 just took care of that.
Yeah, I've been listening to the conversation, reading chat. Yep, I had a feeling. I should have said something, but
Well, no. I just I give everybody a chance, Nexus, but that he was trying to bring racism into it. Nope, sorry, ain't buying that here.
yep. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
the buck
totally
stops
agree.
here on that. That was that crossed my line. See you later. You know.
Yeah.
But anyways, Oxford had an referendum 2 years ago to where they were asked if they want that 50 minutes if you agree. And I think it was close to 80% who said no. I think 74 or something like that. But you see, they don't care. They still do it.
I don't spoon. No, Nescafe. I agree with you. But you know, it's okay to play with the trolls once in a while. Have a little fun.
Okay.
You know, it just that comment took him all of about 2 seconds for me to say see ya. Therein lies another aspect of society that's a problem. Now, whether that guy was genuine or not, I don't know. I hope not. But that certainly is not a belief system that I wholeheartedly would not want people to engage upon.
Me either.
No, we do not need race pimps here. You're absolutely
Yep.
correct. Nescafe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There is no, that ain't going to happen on my channel. No doubt about that.
I agree with Lieutenant there. Ryan?
How you doing, Brian? Good to see you. But
Hey,
like I
Brian.
said, I give everybody a chance to see if
Mm-hmm.
they are genuine or not. You know, and if he was genuine, well, I guess this isn't the panel for him. There's lots of places he can go to spew that kind of stuff, but it ain't going to happen here.
Mm-hmm.
That definitely crossed my line right quick.
No, that was not the case. Uninformed he was, but that was not the main issue.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on just a second. I'm doing a little housework here.
And he maybe really is out of an upper class house.
Oh. I think Bearded Eagle already got him.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, Bearded Eagle. By the way, mods or everybody, because that's why I'm trying to do a little housework here. If anybody comes into my chat and says something like that, you have all my permission to give them the big old boot. If you make a mistake, we'll talk about it afterwards. But yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Lieutenant. You have a good one, guy. Don't work too hard.
Lieutenant.
Take care, Lieutenant.
Trip in the mountains.
And
wish I could
for
join you.
For some reason, his voice reminded me on somebody. I don't know why, but I'm pretty sure I heard that voice before.
Hey, from Texas.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, but on his side, it was not only that he was uninformed. It was more the case that he seems to like it the way.
Well, you know, I don't know that that's genuine or not. I hope not. I hope it was just a troll. How you doing, Texas guy?
I-
Any of my super mods, can you check to see if you can ban that guy or not in chat? If you can't, then I need to know that because they've changed stuff.
I, I had a strange feeling.
Oh, I did too. I mean, I'm no dipshit there, Nexus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did already. So, but anyways, yeah, anything like that comes up, guys, by all means, boot them. As I
Roger
said,
that.
if it becomes a controversy, we'll talk about it after the fact, but definitely not something I'm going to tolerate on my channel.
Hmm.
And besides, even without that, he was running borderline. Anyway. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the housework I was doing, Cindy. I try to, people who come here, I try to at least mod them so they can't be messed with, because not everybody's going to agree all the time. But in the same token, the people who come here that want to be here, I want them to be able to do it without being harassed by dingalings like the last one that was just up here. So, and if it becomes a problem, there's me, and I do have a few super mods running around. They know who they are. So, but anyways, back to the conversation at hand. If that guy was genuine, that's extremely disturbing. Extremely disturbing.
I totally agree
I
with
don't believe him to be, but in
uh,
this day and age, you never know, because I'll tell you what. After I watched a live newscast, shall we say, from a more liberal leaning channel, and the stuff that I seen and the comments that I seen were absolutely disgusting on the topic of what went on in Nashville.
Yeah.
Let me say it this way. If he would be really out of an upper class house or family, it wouldn't surprise me if he was not kidding, because that's the species who are in this climate extremist groups and all that stuff. That's mostly kids out of really rich houses, you know,
Uh-huh.
getting getting put in that. Uh, let's face another thing. Greta, she is a puppet, and she's like an actor for these elites, you know. And she's
Yeah.
already a millionaire. But she's
Yep.
also, that's proved, she's mentally sick. She has a kind of, it's very similar to a kind of autism.
Hey, Brian,
So-
by all means, as I said, everybody knows my policy on that kind of stuff is zero tolerance. So,
Mhm.
but it doesn't mean we can't play with them a little bit to show them what kind of idiots they really are. I don't mind smacking a troll around a little bit. Doesn't bother me.
Mhm.
You know, so sorry about that. I didn't mean to hijack you there, Uwe.
yeah, no, all good.
But you know, I was going to point out earlier. What's a blue wrench, bearded? Oh, he must be talking to Cindy. I think. I'm a little confused. Anyways, just think if that guy's thoughts are genuine. I mean, seriously, that is another aspect of society that to me is disturbing. And then if he's not, that's another aspect of society in itself of those who think it's funny to, shall we say, create a shit show out of a serious conversation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't mind. I've had people pop up on panels that that aren't part of the channel who actually genuinely had a conversation. One come back and then finally showed their true colors, but in the case here, no matter way you look at it, whether it was somebody trying to troll or somebody who was actually genuine, it's a testament to sickness of society. I myself personally, I wouldn't jump into a, shall we say, liberal leaning channel just to go troll them because it doesn't help anything. In this case here, no matter how you slice it, whether the guy was generally in a belief of what he's saying or if he was just trying to stir the shit, it worsens the divide we have in society. It's shit like that causes problems all throughout society.
Mhm.
Because whether they do it just a shit stir or they actually believe that. Just, I don't get it. I don't understand how people can live their lives that way. Why
That's,
destructive?
I
don't
think
get it.
most of them are just bored because, they have nothing, whatever the reason is, they have nothing else to do to get any excitement or any enjoyment than doing those bullshit.
Well, you got to be a sad piece of human to do that.
Oh yeah, most of them are. I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure.
Oh, there's more than just trolls on the internet. There's trolls in society, TPR. And this one crossed the line, so I don't know what he thought I don't know what if it was genuine or not, but what he thought he was going to accomplish by making that statement. But as I said, that's just either way, no matter what the motivation is, it's a very sad dictate of society. Rather than doing something constructive in life, they would rather do something that is destructive, and that makes no sense to me whatsoever. But who am I? I guess I see the world a little differently. Maybe I don't know. I don't know if they worship anything, Billy, other than their own ego. And I don't think that was their real voice. I do believe they were using a voice changer.
Hmm.
And that's coming from a musician, so I don't, Arnie. But hey, what the hell? It broke the monotony for a minute. It also detracted from our train of thought and our discussion, but it does bring down to, I guess, where I'd roll now back into what happened down in Nashville and what I'm seeing.
Mhm.
And Spoon made a comment that was very true. There's a lot of people claiming this person was a martyr. And that to me is, you got to be out of touch reality to think that person's a martyr. We're harming kids and other people and innocent people to so-called justify your ideology or your belief isn't being a martyr. It's being a coward. They don't Hooper.
Hey, Hooper.
Hey, Andy, how you doing, buddy?
Andy.
Yeah, it happens, Andy. There's a lot of it. That whole thing is a product of society. You know, I'm a live and let live. You do your own damn thing. I'll do mine, and leave me alone. I'll leave you alone. As long as you're not hurting other people, or I'm fine with that. What you do in your personal life is your business, not mine.
Mm-hmm.
But in that case,
so long you don't affect other lives with your behaving.
Yeah, for sure.
That has to be added to that comment, because I don't really care if any adult makes a decision to not being a man anymore and cutting the balls and the vena and whatever. If it's an adult, I don't care, and you can identify every day as a different gender or different person, whatever.
Well,
let the kids alone in school and even in kindergarten, man. That's fucking sick.
Absolutely.
That's absolutely sick, is that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of that in society is manufactured. I mean, to speculate, and this is only speculation to all the censors out there that would like to claim misinformation. This is only speculation. I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see one of the three-letter agencies back behind goading this person on. They did that in other countries where they picked the vulnerable in society to get them to do atrocious stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't shock me one bit in the least to find out that is the case. Not that I don't think people are capable of doing crazy shit on their own, because they certainly are. But I think in the narratives that have been bandied about for the past few years, it's made the most people who are mentally vulnerable susceptible to this kind of shit. To think that their only recourse is to lash out at the people whom they believe do them wrong by nothing more than not agreeing with the way they live. That'd be like me not agreeing because Diego eats hot peppers. Is that justified? Hell no.
Mm-mm.
I mean, it'd be like, I don't like Nexus because he lives in Oklahoma. I don't like Uwe because he lives in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Likewise, Sasquatch.
Oh my God!
See. Now you're a speciesist. Going to be a speciesist now today.
Oh my God! I can't. You had to bring that up.
Yeah, you're correct, Spoon. It's enough that we have to deal with academics. We don't need
fucking true. That is
mentally challenged people doing the shit they're doing. But that's another, as I said, that's another product of society. You look at how the narrative's been about. it's insane. And a lot of it is, in my opinion, manufactured by our own governments, by our own three-letter agencies, by, well, hell, I would not be one shocked bit in the least that if this didn't come out from the whole levels up top, just to cause chaos in countries.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, Bearded Eagle's got that hot Reapers going. Look out, Diego.
Yeah, that's not even ideological anymore. That is extremism, That has nothing to do with any ideological stuff. We are on a level now when nothing else is true or counts, then your stuff you want to bring up, that has nothing to do with ideology.
Well, that's exactly what I was trying to get at earlier in our conversation when it comes to subjective, objective, and actual fact. The circles that you travel in are going to dictate what you believe to be fact or not. You may be right, you may be wrong. But if you're not willing to scrutinize your own, how do you scrutinize others? When we know that many aspects of society, no matter what your ideas of what reality actually is, can be distorted.
That's damn true as well, Spoon. And believe it or not, I still think that's one part of the agenda too, to reduce the world's population. If the more gay you have, the less birth you will give, That's a fact.
Actually, Uwe, I think it's simpler than that. I think the ones up top have a different view of, shall we say, social norms, and it's an attempt at normalcy for them. I could jump down a rabbit hole that most people know when it comes to human and child trafficking that we all know to be true. And it isn't most people in day-to-day society, it's the elites of society. And I hate to use the word elites, I'd rather use the word parasites, because truthfully,
I agree. I agree.
No, I've heard about that there, Arnie. I don't know. I don't have any way to validate that as true. Well, Spoon, I wouldn't put a name to it. I'd just say that there's sick people in society, and unfortunately, sometimes not having empathy for others is conducive to great wealth. So I don't know. Yeah, you're not totally wrong there, Hooper, for sure. I don't know, Bearded. It's. I'll definitely check it out there, Bearded or Arnie. Excuse me. I guess my biggest problem with it at the moment is the stuff that I've seen even posted on YouTube that is, no matter if you're a decent human being, it's disgusting.
Mhm.
You know, to the point to where some people actually state some of these things with a sense of glee, to feel like they've gotten a shot back at society that they feel's wronged them. Yeah, Bearded, you're absolutely correct. But we lost that, what, back in the 80s? It become politically incorrect to try to help people with mental issues.
Mhm.
And they'll say, well, that's not a mental issue. Well, when you have a 50% rate of suicide, or at least attempted suicide, in a certain aspect of society, I'd say there's probably some mental issues going on. But who am I? I'm no, I'm no rocket surgeon. So
I got to add something to that point, talking about mentally sick and all that stuff. For me, because here it's not even unusual that somebody who raped children or females getting not even in jail, they just get probation. But even if they get not arrested in jails, or they get arrested in a sanatorium, whatever, to be getting treated for their mental illness, when they get out after a year, 2, 3, or 5, whoever is in charge to make that decision that that person is back to the society, because it is healed and everything is fine, and it has to be a good person of society and all that stuff. Whoever made that decision, if the next thing happens with that same person, should be guilty as well and should be arrested for the rest of their life as well. That's what my point is of that stuff. Because
Mhm.
for me, I don't think it is possible to heal a sickness like that. Honestly, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think it's possible. Once you did that, you do it everywhere and every time again. That's not like killing somebody in effect or whatever. That comes from the inner, and not out of nowhere when somebody gets all fuses burning through and killing somebody. Those
Mhm.
stuff doesn't come like that. No way.
well, an example, Arn played a video on his panel last night of a stabbing that happened up there in Canada, I'm assuming. And if I'm wrong about that, Arn, please correct me. And as disgusting as it was, you looked at people's reactions, and the guy videotaping literally sounded like he was happy about it, that he was getting the videotape, or I mean videotape. Sorry,
Uh-huh.
I'm old school. To post on a social network. That's just crazy.
Hey, Arnie,
How's it going, boys?
Good.
not too
Good.
bad. Yourself?
Well, yeah, just had a late night. Now I'm enjoying morning coffee. Glad the camera's off. I'd be an optical terrorist if I showed myself at this moment in time. Don't go anywhere in that direction, ladies. It's just I'm in my house coat having morning coffee. So
Step away from the camera guy.
yeah.
Yeah,
Right on.
TPR makes a good point here. She says we just had a lady get probation for burning down half a city block, trying to kill her boyfriend. You know, I don't know the ins and outs of that, but there's the absurdity of stuff. And
Yeah,
in the same token, though, the absurdity can go the other direction when it comes to a belief system. If it doesn't fit someone's ideological narrative.
I'll be right back.
All right, Uwe. But I'm assuming you jumped up to point out what I was talking about. Arnold, was I incorrect in that?
I was probably setting up stuff, so I didn't hear the last 5 minutes.
Oh, I was talking about that video you played last night and how people's reactions were.
Oh,
it,
yeah.
You know, where that guy seemed like he was almost happy to be videotaping it. I'm doing it again. To be recording it. And just didn't seem like he had any concern for what was going on.
Yeah, it's funny. Here in Canada, we have an ex-conservative. He's opened up a party of his own. He did quite a speech about that, basically echoing the degeneracy of the world nowadays. Like, that's not Canada. Like, no one helped the guy, right, at all. Like, nobody. And you know, he pretty much said the same thing we said yesterday when we were saying, you know, people were doing it for clickbait, and you know, it was more important to film it than to actually help save a life.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, there's many aspects of that you can touch upon. One, what happened that made the guy who perpetrated that think that going to that level was warranted? I mean,
do you know the backstory behind it, though? Have you heard the backstory? Do you know what it was really about?
No, I don't. I do
it was apparently some kid was vaping outside near the entrance of the Starbucks, and the perpetrator decided to, you know, don't vape around my kids, and that's how it kind of got started. That was the basis.
So it was all over vaping in an argument.
Yeah, that was what was reported. Yeah.
Holy smokes!
Like, seriously? You know, like you know, like it or not, or agree with it or not, I vape. At the end of the day, my vape does not. There's no such thing as getting secondhand coffee buzz from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no such thing, scientifically speaking. It's all political, right? Vaping in public is not the same as smoking in public. You're not going to be, you know, you're not going to all of a sudden become a smoker because, or you're not going to get a coffee buzz. I like to use that example because a vape, it's what do you call it? Vaping is basically would be the same as your hot coffee, you know, steaming out of the cup. You know what I mean? You're not going to get caffeine buzz by smelling coffee. There's no such thing as secondhand vaping.
Yeah. And, you know, the reaction to that, certainly, if that's the whole thing, I really hope that guy's on a one-way ticket to prison.
Well, it would be at least a murder too, so that would put him in at least for 20. So there's no way out of that. And that maybe he might be able to plead down to an aggravated, but I doubt it because he killed him. So at least a murder too.
Yeah, that's just, you know, and there's another testament to society as to how people have lost their fucking mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's just, that's just insane. You know, if somebody was doing that and it was that bothered you that much, remove your kids from that situation.
Yeah, that definitely is not a sentence fitting of the crime of, even if the guy was vaping and it was offensive to him, that still wasn't a sentence for the vapor to get basically killed. It just doesn't add up.
So I missed
Hey,
that.
practice room, good to see you, man.
So somebody killed somebody because he was vaping in front of the other guy's children. Or what?
Yes.
You gotta be kidding me.
That was what was reported. Yeah, it was an argument over vaping in front of his kids. And here's the part. In Canada, I don't know what it's like in the U.S., but if you're a minority in Canada, you can't argue against them because you're basically what do they call it? Racist. You know, right away, that's their go-to defense. You cannot say anything towards somebody that's a minority in this country, which in fact is not really the case anymore. The Asian population combined with the South Asian population makes me as a Caucasian a minority in my country. And that's a fact. That's probably 50%. It's probably 50-50 at this point, so leaning one way or another by 1 or 2%.
Well, but there goes another thing I was talking about, where social circles and ideologies and narratives are used to separate out society and cause people to lash out like that. You know, that's just fueling the fire. It's just the same way that the shit that went on in Nashville. They use those things to fuel people to do absurd things.
I think they ratcheted up the psyop, to be quite honest, because a lot of this stuff seems rather calculated, and you know, because there's probably something else going on that they don't want us to pay attention to, so they're making this the big story, right?
Well, no, I think what it is if you want to lord over people, which is essentially what's going on. We're going back more of a feudalistic idea. The best way is not to fight the people, but have the people fight themselves.
Divide and conquer.
Yep. It's just crazy.
That's exactly it. And that the best example was the dividing when the pandemic started, you know.
Well, that was just they took advantage of another crisis, Uwe.
Yeah, yeah.
I
You have many examples for that. Back
Yeah.
in the 30s here, it was the Jewish had to wear their Jewish star, that everybody knew they are Jewish, and nobody was getting in trouble if they slapped them, if they abused them, whatever they did, was all fine, because it was a human not a human in their mind, you know. So
I'll tell you
and that
something.
got
Uwe.
and that got forced and forced and forced. On the beginning, it was probably just a minority agreeing to that and complying. But the longer it went, the more violence came from the Nazis against others, the more they agreed, you know. Exactly how it works.
Government sanctioned racism.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we actually have that now with what went on in Nashville. Same thing.
Yeah.
You know, you look at all the atrocities that happen and their reasonings behind them. Many of them are manufactured. And I don't mean manufactured as in they went and done. I mean manufactured as in dividing society. They don't want people to look at others as sane. You know, to to think that people are so bought in to an ideology, any ideology, doesn't matter what it is, that they're willing to take someone's life over it, whether it be an adult or children. And you got to be a special kind of something to do that. It's a whole new level of crazy. You know, hence why combat messes up a lot of veterans, because you literally have to shut off the human side of yourself at times. Once you lose that empathy, look out. And a lot of these cases, as with that video you showed and with what went on in Nashville, is prime examples of that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
to
me, that video that you showed, Arn, is a prime example of just how far we aren't detached from the animalistic sides of our personality.
So the headline I just threw down there, father stabbed to death outside Vancouver Starbucks after asking man not to vape near his toddler. So that's the link I posted there. That's the story. From the local rag here.
Mm-hmm.
What I forgot to say when I said the guy who raped that 15 years old girl is free, he was a refugee, or he is a refugee. He was on court for the same stuff a couple of years ago. I think he's in Germany for 6 or 7 years. He got arrested back in the days only for, I think, a year or a year and a half. He should be sent back to his home country, but as we are so liberal here, we don't send anybody to Afghanistan or Iraq or whatever. And all these cases where they have somebody raping or killing anybody and getting very, very mild charged, there was nobody of them was a German citizen. Nobody of them. Here, we have to apologize to them that we don't integrated them good enough, that they got to do that shit. That's what our politics want. We have to say, oh, you are a very, very poor guy, you know. You are the victim, not the 15 years old girl. You are the victim. We should integrate you way better. That's what they do here, and that's no shit. That's true.
Well, that's countries that are allowing people that are, you know, newly immigrated to a country. I believe that's why I like the U.S. style when it comes to federal politics. You cannot be born in another country and then expect to be a leader of that country you've immigrated to. And Europe and Canada and Australia have all allowed people that were born somewhere else to be in positions of power and imposing they're like, for example, the Sharia law, for example, in Europe is prevalent, right? So a girl goes out to a nightclub dressed up, to go to a nightclub. That's Western ways. If you don't like it, why are you here? Trying to come in and impose your culture on, as a newly person in that country is ridiculous. Hey, London is a prime example of that with that mayor of London.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's like they should never be in positions of influence over a country. You should be at least the first generation or second generation immigrant to be a leader in the country.
Well, what blows my mind is all these people screaming and hollering are leaving their countries because of war, because of religious politics or things like that, but yet they move to another country and try to implement the very same things they're running away from.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Talk about a twist of cognitive abilities. It's just crazy.
Well, it happens in the U.S. too. Just watch what's going to happen in Texas over the next 10, 15 years.
Yeah. Southern Michigan down here, there's some places that, wow.
Minnesota is another good example of that.
Yep.
Minneapolis used to be a nice town. Not anymore. It's like a little Mogadishu. With the same shit that Mogadishu was dealing with.
And you know what our government, with on top of that, our Minister for Inner Affairs are trying to do. Usually, you have to be. I think you have to live 6 years or 7 years here to get the possibility to get German citizenship, and you have to speak German, decent German, which is a joke anyway because that didn't work out over the last 20 years. But now they wanna take that down to 3 years, and then in some special cases they wanna get it even lower to 1 year, and the language would not be so important. So if you can talk a couple words, that's fine. That's how it works if you have those freaking idiots in the government.
I just want to clarify I had it backwards. It wasn't the person who was stabbed was the one asking the person who stabbed him not to smoke near his kid, not the other way around.
And
so
again, I didn't catch it.
So I originally had said that the victim had asked the perpetrator not to smoke near his kid. It was actually the other way around. The victim was the one asking the perpetrator not to smoke near his kid, and the perpetrator reacted. The perpetrator reacted by stabbing him. So that's the real story. If you click on that Vancouver Sun link in the chat, that's what it's saying. So my apologies for misinforming. And that totally gives it a different perspective. Even worse.
Yeah, even worse. Holy shit.
Yeah.
So you're going to kill somebody over a statement. Holy crap.
Yeah. Yeah, it's our friend from Germany there. We should be taking our cues because Europe is a few years ahead of North America, and this has been going on in Europe for 20 years now, and we're just now starting to talk about it in North America. When you think of Sweden and the no-go zones in Sweden now because they don't assimilate the immigration, they basically hoard them into ghettos.
You know what, Arnie? I don't watch any news anymore, but I read something or heard something on a YouTube channel I watch. In case when Biden was visiting Trudeau, I think last week that was,
right?
And they were talking about illegal immigration, and Trudeau was or Canada in general is complaining that they have 40,000 refugees a year. You know what? Germany, I think, fits about 8 or 10 times in Canada, land-wise, and we get currently between 30 and 35,000 a month.
A month, yeah. Yeah.
A month.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And
crazy.
we have
Mhm.
83 million here. You have not even, you are shy to 40 million in Canada, I think.
Yeah.
And we have 83 million here. This with the land, what is whatever, what I like said, 10 times fitting in Canada, or maybe more.
Or
And
you
we
guys
getting
aren't
about
you guys in Germany don't have a larger landmass than we do. Not even
no,
close.
that's what I mean. That's what I
Yeah.
mean. We have
Yeah.
we fit 10 times in Canada or more, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Okay. Okay. I got you.
so that's
I was defended my
insane.
land.
It's absolute insane.
Well,
And
but it's,
they don't even listen. There's already mayors and minister presidents from our states here. We call it Bundesland, but whatever. But they are complaining. We can't take anymore. We don't have space. And now we are so far. They throwing out years. People, they have years lived in that apartments, rent them. They throw them out because they get more money if they bring it up
Yeah.
for refugees.
I remember reading a story about 2 or 3 years ago of in Italy, basically when they were when the mass immigration was coming from Syria, and they were literally telling hotel owners to if you don't give us the hotel to put these refugees in, we're going to shut you down.
Yeah.
So, you know, the government again forcing its will on free enterprise.
But
Well,
now this
it's
Maloney,
not-
this Maloney, this Maloney now, that goes the opposite way now. She
Good.
says,
Good.
"Fuck you."
Yeah, good. Yeah, I know. She's good.
but
We need
there's
more of
to
her
it
in the
than
world.
that. There's more to it than that. If you want to destroy the idea of Western culture, what do?
Yeah,
You replace
infiltrate
it.
them.
You replace
infiltrate
it.
them. Yeah, that's what they do.
The food and water and everything that we consume makes us less able to recreate or procreate, and we need useless eaters, or we need useful eaters, so to speak. I a little backwards there, and so you just replace the population.
Well, take two cultures that are ideologically polar opposites, because many of them come from places where authoritarianism is the norm.
Which they ran away from.
Right. But they're more acceptable of it.
Yeah, they're more definitely. I like put it this way: where I work, if you look at my company that I work for in the last 5 years, and you look at the new hires, I would say it's probably 20% Caucasian names, and 80% from somewhere else, usually from African nations and East Indian nation. Fact of the matter is, they don't represent when these woke people, which this company I work for is very much the woke company. They proclaim equity and all this, yet the people they hire do not represent the community we serve, which is basically we have new immigrants to Canada that have all the benefits that most Canadians don't even have access to anymore. And telling people who are homeless, who are probably pissed off that some Asian bought their house and made them homeless, you know what I mean, when they raise the rent, telling them what to do. So it now creates a safety issue on my job, because you got residents now that are literally rebelling against the people who are telling them what to do.
And the other aspect of it is the people who generally are moving to other countries to find a better life, they get screwed by the very own thing that's happening. You know, they are rung up into the whole mess, even if their intentions are genuine. You know, and that's another huge part of the problem. You take somebody that's coming in that has a legit reason to get the hell out of where they are, because they do want a better life and they do want, shall we say, to live under the same ideals that we have in Western culture. And then they are forced into the very same things that they fled from. It's just, it's insane. There's no winning. There's no getting away from the very same thing that they were trying to leave from. Because I think a lot of the stuff, the reason they're doing that is to stifle those types of things. They don't want people coming into Western culture and bringing those ideas back. It undermines the whole authoritarian rule thing. And
I just want to read. Go ahead.
Nobody can tell me that authoritarianism hasn't grown throughout this world. It has, even in Western cultures.
Well, you just look at. Did you see the UN vote yesterday in regards to Russia said that they wanted an investigation on who detonated the Nord Stream pipeline? So here's how the vote went down. So you got 192 nations represented, right? China, Russia, and Iran, I think it was, voted to investigate, and the rest said no.
Imagine that.
Huh.
You know, you was not here, Arnie, when we talked about it. I think it was 3 or 4 weeks ago when our German Chancellor was on an unexpected visit in Washington, and there was no official press conference, nothing. It was just him and Sleepy Joe having a chit chat. And 4 days later, when he came back, they came out with that freaking nice story that pro-Ukraine extremists hired a fucking sailboat and sailed out there and just placed the bombs and did it, you know.
Which,
So-
if you're anyone who knows anything, that kind of operation would take a little more than someone hiring a dinghy to go do a job. That's a job that takes a lot of moving parts to make that happen.
Not only that, you know, not even an experienced diver can do that. You need some special forces for that, and you need special dynamite. It has to be underwater dynamite and all that shit, you know.
Yeah.
So then it's in 80 meters deep, man. You can't throw a fucking anchor out and say, okay, this is the position to stay here. I mean, fuck's sake, man.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable, man. It's just insane.
Yeah. Well, a little sidebar here. I just want to read it saying 250,000 bikers in Sturgis, South Dakota. Many bikers carry pistols concealed. Others carry openly. No shootings, no stabbings, no murders, no looting, no police assaulted, no statues torn down, no destruction of private or public property, no traffic blocked. 250,000 bikers with 84 total arrests, mostly for public intoxication. Contrast those numbers with what happens every weekend in Chicago.
Yeah.
Hail to the bikers.
Yeah.
And exactly, it says badass bikers matter.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, we literally do have a world that's turned on its head.
Well, I keep harping on this topic here. It's a bigger play going on. It's more geopolitical in the world. It's really a preparation for war that's happening right now. And in the US's case, in order for it to bypass the Congress to go to war, they need to invoke an emergency. So they're really starting to, put it together. So when we start fighting against each other, that's their cue to institute an emergency act. and hence they can bypass the Congress and go to war, because that's really ultimately what's going on here in the big picture. So everything
Honestly,
that's happened, everything here is just regional at this point, but it's really designed for the bigger picture of the international.
honestly, I think we are already in a war, in a fucking mental war, and
I'll be right back, guys. Hold the fort down.
I
Roger
don't
that.
think that it will escalate in case of Ukraine. I don't think so. Maybe it's just because I hope so. I don't know, because I mean, you guys are quite a distance away. I'm literally sitting on their fucking plate, you know.
Yeah.
So, but I don't even think that it goes that way. And I have some YouTube channels where is generals, ex-militaries, generals from the US, military and stuff, and they talking, and they all know exactly what's going on, and they will not go that way because they know that it's all bullshit what they telling the public, that Russia has no weapons and Russia is harmless and whatever, you know. They all know it's completely bullshit, and they will never ever risk that stuff. Never. If they do, that's then they're even more stupid than they than anybody ever thought. But I don't see it happen. No.
Yeah, well, it's just the starting point. It's the alliances. Like I always say, pay attention to the First World War, like what was going on in the First World War. What were the factors going on? And mostly it was financial. The banking system is in such trouble, right? And
Yeah, you are right. This is like a copy of that. You are right.
this is totally lining up exactly.
Yeah.
Lining up exactly to what happened in the First World War. That's why I say don't take it lightly. This is, if you look at what was going on in the different countries at the time, right? The chaos that was going on. As they say, well, it's order out of chaos. They create the chaos to create the order. It's the conspiracy theory Illuminati way, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's why I don't get too caught up in the local, stuff, because it's just in the grand scheme, I call it fodder, even though unfortunately they're victims in the fodder. However, there's a point to the exercise.
Yeah, if that happens, that would be absolutely worst case for Europe.
Well, most of the world wars always ended up beginning and ending in Europe, right? That's
Yeah.
where Americans feel safe here, right? Because there's nothing on our shores, right? Other than
Yeah.
Hawaii in the Second World War, but more often than not, it's always in Europe. There's so many different cultures in Europe, so it's just a powder keg. Like everyone, my family originates from Czechoslovakia, Russia, and Ukraine. So when I talk to my relatives and they're telling me this is nothing new, like they're making a big spectacle out of it because most people don't have a clue about history. It's the old story: communism versus Nazis, and they'll fight to the death over it.
Yeah.
But when we mention something like that, it's like, oh, that's misinformation. Well, not really. That's the difference between opinion and experience. My family had the experience. They told me why they left Russia during the Bolshevik Revolution.
We had
Right?
there was I don't know, it's maybe 2 months ago, maybe not quite, maybe 6 weeks. There was a pro-Ukraine protest here, not too far from my house, maybe an hour from here. and a streamer who was there was posting the girls and females on the stage there, what they were yelling, and they were yelling, "Slava Ukraina, Slava Nazi." The cops were standing right at the stage. Nothing happened. Nothing.
No.
Nothing at all. Everybody could hear it. Everybody.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. Yeah.
And even on mainstream media news, you could see Ukrainian currently generals with a freaking Nazi cross on their wrist tattooed.
Yeah.
And nobody cared. 6-7 years ago, all the news were all over Ukraine, how corrupt all these Nazis and Azov and all that shit. 6-7 years ago. And now it's like, oh, best friends, we have to support them. Yeah. Slava Ukraini. Yeah. All right.
I saw an old CNN back when CNN actually used to do journalism back in 2014. When they were talking, the story about Ukraine was totally opposite to what the story is today. Before, it was actually sympathizing with Russia and Russians in eastern Ukraine, right? And now it's the opposite. Now the Russians are the bad guys.
Yeah. The Russians are the bad guys since 1945. Since the war was over, they are the bad guys. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And to your comment, Hooper, you know what? Our minister for economy was asked in a show, in a talk show, probably the same time, 2 months ago. He was asked how long the people have to suffer here with the gas prices and fuel prices and all the energy prices and stuff, and what happens? Do we get involved in the war, and do we have to send troops? You know what he said? I don't have to fight in that war. I don't gonna go there. That's what he said. Literally, he said that. You
What
know,
was that again?
he said, I don't have to fight there. I don't have to go there. You know, even if it happens that we got involved. You know, that shows you how far they are away from a normal life. You know, they don't even know what a normal life is because they are born as a politician. They get in there in this general with an age of 15, 16, 17, and they get trained like in a boot camp for the military. You know, they get brainwashed. I have a guy here that lives the next village, and on a meeting last year, he was talking about that two of his, I think, nephews or niece, I don't know. One is a nephew, one is a niece. So he said they wanted to go in the politics, you know, like high up, and they were, I think, 16 or 17, or one is 16, one 17, and they were quite in the group and everything, and then they got sent to like a training camp in Switzerland, and that's how they do it. Do you show mercy? How you act? Can you lie? And how good are you to control? And they didn't pass any of that, and they sent them back home. You know. So that's what it's all about. They getting really boot camped to show no mercy and show no sociopathy at all. You know, they get completely brainwashed.
I just wanted to. Somebody in the chat here, give me a sec. Somebody in the chat said, said Russia and China hasn't invaded anyone for centuries. Can't say the same for NATO or NWO. So here's the USA bombing list, the Democracy World Tour. Korea and China, 1950 to 53. Guatemala, 54. Indonesia, 1958. Cuba, 59 to 61. Guatemala again in 1960. Congo, 1964. Laos, 64 to 73. Vietnam 61 to 73, Cambodia 69 and 70, Guatemala again 67, 69, Grenada 1983, Lebanon 83 and 84, Libya 1986, El Salvador the 80s, Nicaragua the 80s, Iran 87, Panama 89, Iraq 91, Kuwait 91, Somalia 93, Bosnia 94, 95, Sudan 98, Afghanistan 98. Yugoslavia 99, Yemen 2002, Iraq War again 91 to 203, Iraq 203 to 2015, Afghanistan 01 to 2015, Pakistan 07 to 15, Somalia 2007 8 to 11, Yemen 09 to 2011, Libya 2011 to 2015, Syria 14 and 15.
Yeah.
The USA Democracy Tour.
Yep. You are
Well,
on our
I mean,
side. You're on our side, or you are done.
No, well, look, I mean, this is well known. Well, actually, it should be well known. At least it's always been well known to me. The U.S. has financed a lot of things because of war.
Yep.
So this
Well,
is not
for what reason though? Why? Why would they do that? So they can get the resources.
right.
So they put a base somewhere so they can protect their resources. Now they're pissed off because China's doing the same game that the US has been doing for 75 years.
Oh no, they're pissed off because China is actually doing it much better. You see,
True.
the U.S. relied on war to take over countries. China, on the other hand, they come into countries. I give you an example. Bahamas. They come in there. They just got their independence back, and they say, "Well, you don't have any infrastructure whatsoever. Let us lend you the money to build the infrastructure. Here are the conditions. First of all, it's going to be Chinese workers building it. And this is the interest you are going to have to pay when it's done." And being a newly formed government and them not having a fucking clue how to run a country, they say yes. So what happens? What happens is they can never pay the interest. So when that happens, there's a clause in the contract that says, if you don't pay, that's okay too, but then we own the infrastructure. That's how China does it. So they build harbors, they build airports, they build hotels, they build all sorts of things, and at the cost of the country's taxpayers. And then when the time comes, they own it. It's really smart. I mean, you know what? You can hate the Chinese if you like, but if you look at that business model, it's like, wow, man, that is Jewish squared.
Yeah, but see, there's the rub, Diego. It's the same thing the IMF has been doing since the invocation of world banks. In China's case, to think that they aren't working with the IMF would be a fool's folly. And frankly, I think China is the model that they'd like to have for society, even more so to the extreme.
I agree. And if you listen very carefully, Trudeau has said as much.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, so has many world leaders. You know, I
The
mean,
bankers,
they'll speak
the
out one side
bankers,
of their mouth and do another. Sorry about that, Aaron. Go ahead.
the bankers want war so they can lend money at interest to both sides. Defense contractors want war so they can sell armaments to both sides. So the bankers and the corporations keep them employed and in power. Wars are business. They are manufactured by the elites, not by enemy rivals.
Yep.
That is also very
Yep.
correct.
That is
all,
true.
all of the wars have been manufactured.
Yeah.
And they have been planned years in advance. Years.
Well, it's the same. It's the same old song and dance, Uwe. Has been throughout history. Pretty simple. When they want to go to war, everybody just say, "No, you want war? Go for it. Here's a spoon. Knock yourself out."
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hooper.
You
You
can't
are
get
right.
people to do it.
Sorry about that.
No, you're right. Go ahead, Diego.
Yeah, I was just answering Hooper in the chat, who says China is playing the 100-year game and the West is playing the 5-year game. Yeah, you're absolutely 100% right about that. You could use the analogy, they're playing 3D chess while we're playing with ourselves.
Yeah, but the Chinese play that game peaceful and the Western world doesn't.
Until they don't, Uwe. As I said, look at history.
Yeah. Okay. There are reasons why China wants to control all that infrastructure. Remember, so just look at look at Germany. We used to have a gazillion army bases, American bases, that is.
Yep.
In the country. Now, not so much anymore, but we used to. Why? Because it was a very strategic spot. Now, if you own all the harbors, well, then you own commerce.
Hence why the Deepwater port in Long Beach was sold off to the Chinese. Why would they give that up is mind blowing.
Completely.
Yeah. How you doing, Prepper?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I found out that China is secretly controlled by the Roman Catholic Jesuits. They're called. They run the Vatican. They control the bank over China. If China has a private bank, an international bank over China, whatever the main big bank is, like in the US, you've got the Federal Reserve Bank, and in Australia, you've got the Reserve Bank of Australia. According to a former Jesuit, Alberto Rivera, he said that the Jesuits control all international banks on this earth, and that includes China's bank. And if you control the bank over a country that loans the government money, like the Federal Reserve or whatever bank it is, if you control the bank over any country, you are the one who issues the money, not the government. It's not a government-owned bank like America used to be before the Federal Reserve come in. If you control the bank, you control that country, basically. And Alberto Rivera, who was a Roman Catholic Jesuit, he said that the Jesuits control all international banks. That includes over China. And I know another lady, she worked for the World Bank for 20 years as a senior, like a solicitor, some sort of law type solicitor. Her name's Karen Hudes, Hudes. I think she's an American lady, and she became a whistleblower. And she said that she was on an interview on Russia TV, and this lady, the interviewer, was prodding her, poking at her and prodding her, and said, "Who is this conglomerate? This group you're talking about? These people, this controlling?" And then she just blurted it out, and she goes, "Well, the Jesuits," and she said that they are controlling the bank in China. They control it secretly, not openly. This is all done behind the scenes, not openly.
Well, everything's done behind the scenes, Prepper, no doubt. Distraction is the best thing. Never
All
let the
international-
finger be pointed at you.
Did you hear in November of last year, speaking of the Jesuits or speaking of the Vatican Bank, they
Yeah.
did an order to all Vatican assets, banking assets around the world. They had until the end of October or end of November to move all their assets back into Vatican
Bank.
banks, back to the
That-
Vatican Bank. So what the hell
That's
does
right.
that tell you?
Well, that they must know. They're planning to crash the world monetary system, and they must know.
There you go. There you
They-
go.
If they're running the world, they know at least that the Vatican Bank, maybe the wealth that's put in there will keep its value. But if you've got money in US dollars, like you've got your money in US currency, maybe they know that certain currencies are going to be greatly devalued. And if the United States loses its status as the world's reserve currency, their dollar, that could noticeably really devalue the dollar permanently, long term, in a big way, not just 5% or 10 or 15. It could do it in long term in a big way. And I don't wish that upon America, because America is the world superpower, and they're a friend of my little country called Australia. If America goes down, I'm going to be affected. And not just our country from that point of view, but from our currency, the Australian dollar may be brought down as well a bit with the US dollar. But America may be definitely affected the most, but it won't just be America. It may be other allied countries. And that's why them countries are joining in against Russia, or a part of the reason why they're joining in Ukraine to bomb the living hell and give all their weapons, the HIMARS, them really good HIMARS weapon systems, the javelins, because they're attacking Russia. Russia is one of the members on the opposite world reserve currency team. Russia are involved in preparing a currency to destroy the United States dollar as the world reserve currency. They're on the BRICS nations. So they're helping they're actively trying to destroy the United States dollar. Russia with China, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and other countries.
Can you blame them, Papa? Can you blame them?
What's that?
Can you blame the Russians for that? I don't.
Can you blame what?
Can you blame the Russians for trying to destroy the dollar? I can't.
Well, it's going to kill. A lot of Americans are going to die through starvation. Children won't have medication, so they'll die from malnourishment in the hospitals or not getting medication. So it could cause the death of millions of people, what Russia is doing in America through malnutrition. And literally could cause the death of millions of Americans. And if you think, wait a minute, I don't know if that's really true. You look at America in the 1930s, in the Great Depression, in the 10 years of that Great Depression, 7 million Americans died of starvation and of starvation related diseases. So not all of them outright starved to death, but some of them through lack of enough food, of nutrition, of different vegetables and fruits, they died of other diseases caused directly by, going hungry, not having enough food with the right amount of vitamins. They were dying from different diseases. 7 million people. Now that's just their own economic. The Depression years, a big downturn in the economy. So if Russia are involved in bringing up this alternative currency, which if it destroys the US dollar, that will put America into a similar state as the Great Depression years. They are actively involved in doing something that could lead to the death of millions of Americans. What they're doing, Russia with China and India and Brazil and South Africa and
Oh, Prepper must be on the target. Internet shutting them down.
Incubators for babies. They won't be able to afford drugs for children to save them when they're in their infancy in the hospital to treat them. And adults will not be able to get enough proper nutritious food, and they'll start dying from different things. This could cause millions of Americans to die, what Russia are involved with. So if you fully understand that, what I've just said, then you would say, hey, we need to do something about this Russia or the BRICS nations. And this looks like a great opportunity, what they're doing, to go in there and starting up this war with Russia. I don't want to have a war. I don't want to see any war. But what Russia are doing, by engaging and creating a new currency against the US dollar, they're engaging in an act of war that if the dollar is devalued, it'll destroy the US military, where they're able to fund it. But not just funding the US military, but like I said, if they have a massive economic downturn, it could cause the death of a lot of millions of Americans over a period of years.
Forget Americans for a second. I'm in Mexico. It will destroy our economy. It'll destroy Canada's economy. It'll bring a tsunami of unbelievable proportions. Now, I do have to agree with Uwe on one thing. Do you really blame them? I find it very hard to say I do. I think what they're doing is kind of a reaction, not an actual. I'm wondering what the right word is. Not an act, but rather a reaction to what has been happening for a very long time.
Yeah, I think they're just defending
Yeah,
themselves. That's what they do.
What were you saying there? I just had a train going past me. What were you saying about forget America? What were you saying?
Well, I said forget America for a second. I'm in Mexico, and it will destroy our economy down here, and it will destroy Canada's economy and many economies, and it'll be a tsunami of unproportional, not unproportional, unimaginable size.
Well, the whole idea is to bring down all of Western nations.
That's right. It's not going to destroy everyone. They're going to turn the tables. They're going to flip the table over. All them other countries that are maybe poorer or whatever with the BRICS nations, they're wanting to take a hold of the new world's reserve currency and share it among themselves. It'll be their group. They will dictate to all of the Western nations then, and we may become the impoverished nations. And
there you go.
Whoever
now you're hitting it. Now you're hitting the nail on the head. That's the whole point of the exercise. 100%. Biggest transfer of wealth in the history of the world is happening right now. Yeah. Third world nations will become second and first world, and first worlds will go down to second and third world. That's the point.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you're an American, you shouldn't want this. You're stupid. If you want this to happen, if anyone who's an American wants this to happen, they're stupid. If they say, oh, why should America have the world reserve currency? Don't these other people deserve the chance for them to have it? Well, if it happens, anyone who says that what I just said is stupid, because if it happens to you, if you're an American, it's going to cause potentially big poverty in America. Do you want that? Does
America though, Prepper? It'll be all the Western world, and we're already seeing the effects of that now.
Yeah, I agree with you, but number one definitely will be the US because it's their dollar, right? But I agree
there's a lot of privilege to be the world currency. There's a ton of privilege. Hence the war I just read off there 20 minutes ago. That's the kind of stuff you can get away with when you're the world currency.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if you look at these other nations, and if anyone says, oh, America's this and that, and they're no good, you just look at that wheeling and dealing that you were talking about China. When China goes to deal with these countries, they don't say anything. They don't care what the leaders are like, if they're dictators, savages, barbarians, whatever they are, these different countries. China doesn't tell them to change their government. They don't interfere. They don't tell them to improve their human rights or anything. They don't tell them nothing. They'll just go and deal with them, right? At least with America, they might try to do something like that, to make mention to them about if they're treating their citizens bad. I'm not saying America's perfect, but at least America may say something like that to them. You know what I mean? China won't do
Oh,
nothing. They don't give a
Pepper,
damn. If you look at
did
the
it
big picture, America is
did
at
it
least better. They're at least
did
better
it
from
did
that
it
point
work
of view.
out in Libya or did it work out in Syria? Did it work out? I don't think so.
Yeah, but if you look at China, how many people do you see trying to get into China, break into the borders? Let's go and live in China. How many people do you see trying to get to China to want to live there? How many people do you see wanting to get into America? A lot of people around the world can still see that America is a good place. And you don't see millions of from all around the world refugees trying to get into China, eh? They're a dictator state. The communist state, all them communist countries have normally been anti-God. They teach evolution in the schools. They're always atheistic. Most communist countries, Russia, China, and if they have a form of religion, it's just controlled by the government or whatever. And if you look at their backgrounds, look at China. They starved like about, I don't know, it's about 20 or 30 million or 20 million of their own people. They told them to melt down all their shovels and rakes, their metal rakes. They were going to have this big industrial revolution. I'm not sure if it was President Mao, or one of them, one of their leaders. Yep. And then they melted all their things down. Instead of farming, they used to farm food. They were going to have a big industrial revolution and build steel and all this rubbish. And it never happened. It never worked. And then they, with their fields, with their corn, they were growing corn and that. And someone decided to kill all these little birds, these sparrows, thinking that the sparrows were eating a little bit of their corn. But the little birds in China were eating all the bugs, the locusts. They were killing all the locusts that would normally attack all their corn and wheat or whatever. And then when they killed all the little birds out, there was all these big locust plagues, and it ended up eating all their crops. And then millions more people died in China. That's China, a communist government. Then Russia, under Stalin or Lenin, one of them, you could easily look it up, I can't remember, they starved 20 million Ukrainians to death. They, instead of letting them own their own farms, they took government control of the little farms, instead of letting just normal people own them, little private farms. 20 million Ukrainians died of starvation. So they're two of the big countries in this group of BRICS nations. That's their history and background. And that's their history and background of these people in the China and Russia. They're members of the BRICS nations. So if you trust them, if they get in power and run the world, looking at their background, and you look at a lot of the other backgrounds in some of the Asian places like Pol Pot's regime in Cambodia or whatever, they killed millions of their own people. I don't know if they were communists at the time or what they were, just a dictatorship. So, you look at America, you look at China, they go and deal with a country with business, but they don't tell them nothing. They don't say change, try to change what you're doing, how you're living. They just go in and deal with them. So in other words, they don't help them countries where they go to. At least America, in a way, tries to put some influence on them to say, hey, what about your human rights? Come on, you should look after these people and don't lock them all up and this and that. I'm not saying America's perfect, but at least compared to China, I don't know what you think, but I think America's definitely better than how China, what they've done, and how they're dealing with all these countries. They don't ask them to change. If they're a dictator who's killing tons of their own people, they don't do nothing about it at all in any country. I'm not saying America's perfect, but I'm just saying comparing the both of them, America definitely probably helps a bit more in freedom for other countries, a little bit of influencing them. Compared, China doesn't say nothing. China doesn't do anything at all. They don't try to tell any government what to do, nothing. But at least America does.
Okay,
Well,
so I have a couple of things to say here. One thing is that, Prepper, you're missing a big point, and I'm about to make it.
What point? I probably know. Go on.
Look, hear me out, and then you decide. Whatever the BRIC countries are doing is nothing in comparison to the self-inflicted wounds that are happening in the U.S. 45 had America completely energy independent, and at the time they were the #1 exporter of energy. Now, the U.S. dollar is called the petrol dollar for a reason. Now, when you're independent and you're selling you're selling energy to everybody. Well, there's no way you can shut down the US dollar. But look what's happening now. The US is buying energy from the most unlikely of sources, including quote unquote enemies. So that is self inflicted. And that shows me that whoever is pulling the strings in the US, and no, it's not Biden, obviously, wants this to happen.
What's
Yeah,
that?
absolutely. Our system over here has been infiltrated.
Yeah, well,
As
it's
many
run
Western
secret
world.
society. The whole world is run by a network of secret societies. If you guys haven't found that out yet, it's run by a network of secret or secretive societies. The world leaders are in these societies. There's one global secret society. The head of it all, the very top, the management, are the Jesuits in the Vatican. They control all of the secret societies, the Freemasons. I'm not sure if any of you guys in this audience know about this, what I'm saying to you right now, but this is what I've found out over the last 30 years, roughly, or 35 years, whatever. But they control the world. I don't know how many Americans know this. I've been telling them, my mates over there, I've been telling people in Australia, the Roman Catholic Jesuits secretly, not openly, but they secretly control the all secret societies, the Freemasons, the Illuminati, the Skull and Bones. And that's how this world is run. The whole planet you're living on, most of the senior politicians in the European government, female and male, America, Australia, England, the Middle East, the Arab Muslim countries, many of them, the high level and all the biggest companies on earth, most of the richest companies, the biggest corporation bosses, the CEOs and the CEOs and the high level board members, most of them are members of secret societies initiated into the Freemasons or the Illuminati or some sort of thing. You know what I mean? That's who's running America. It's the Masons. They've built it into the architecture of the streets there. It's all there. It's in Australia, the government house. It's all built into our government house. It's not just me saying this. I've got this information. 10 out of 25 Australian prime ministers were Freemasons. 10 out of 25. That's about 40%. But that's just Freemasons. Then there's another group on the other side of government. You know, you got two sides of government. You got Republican in America, then you got Democrats. Or in England, you got the Tories and the Labor, or whatever it is, or with the two different ones. Australia, you got the Labor and the Liberal. Well, in the other side of the Australian government, there's a group called the Fabian Society. And if you've got about 40% of them leaders were in it, that means you've got about 80% of all the prime ministers were members of secret societies. And if they all lead back to the Jesuits, well, they're all being controlled worldwide, the governments, the people in them, but not just the governments, the richest corporations, the biggest media bosses, the biggest CEOs in the media, the movie industry, everything, the Coca-Cola, Wendy's. Wendy's, he was a 33rd degree Mason, one of the leaders at Wendy's. I don't know about the current one, but within a couple of years ago, I heard that on a documentary. That's who's running the world, but hardly anyone's saying it. No, I don't hear many. There are people in America who know about this and in other parts around the world, but not enough people are saying it. They're saying President Kennedy got up, the president of America, and he said, I'm pretty sure it's still on YouTube if you can find it. He goes that there should be no secret societies. That's what he said. There should be no secret societies, man. And then he was dead about a month after that, whatever. They got him when he tried to organise to get the bank in America privatised, to the American government could start printing their own money again. And then he was killed, a couple of weeks after in Texas or whatever. And also he cut out one of the high level Catholics, a cardinal. He was allowed to sit in on the CIA and the president have these briefings once a week or once a day or once a week. They have these briefings, on security. And this top level cardinal or whatever, the highest level Roman Catholic in America, he was allowed to sit in on the meeting, with the president and other probably senior politicians. But I heard that Kennedy cut him out. He said, you're not allowed to sit in here anymore. He cut him out of that. And then he tried to get the American government allow them to start printing their own money again, because and the Jesuits, the Roman Catholic Jesuits, according to Alberto Rivera, they control all of the international banks. So Kennedy was going against the Roman Catholics, even though he was a Roman Catholic. He was going against the Jesuits, and he was telling them, no, you're not going to just have this private bank, the Federal Reserve, printing money. We're going to let the government start printing their own money again. Because there's a good documentary in it. It says they quote one verse in the Bible in the whole documentary. I'd have to check it up, but I think it says the borrower, someone who borrows money, says, can I have some money? It says the borrower is always a servant to the lender. So whoever borrows money off someone is going to be a servant to the person who loaned them the money, because they got
that's going
conditions.
without saying, Prepper. That's obvious to anybody who's paying attention. That's why they've made it a debt-based world instead of a savings-based world.
The Jesuits control all the international banks in the world, according to Alberto Rivera, and even Karen.
Now you're repeating yourself over and over and over again. Sorry.
Well, if I asked you some of the things that I've told you in the last 15 minutes, unless if you're one of them people with a really good memory, I could probably ask some of the people in the panel and they would have forgotten some of the things I've already said. So don't be too upset if someone repeats something once in a while. Don't be too upset about it. I've told people things in these lobbies, not this live stream, but other groups, 20 times I've told them a story. And the person, there was something over their mind, over their eyes, over their mind, and over their brain, blocking them from hearing what I was saying. They didn't understand it. I said, I've told you this story 20 times, and you still didn't remember what I said to you. I talked about a supernatural experience.
On this particular panel, you happen to have a really high standard of IQ, so keep that in mind, please.
I don't know if I've got any high standard of IQ. Whoever's got a brain to listen, whoever can listen and think with their head, that's all you need.
All right, people, I'm breaking in here, guys.
Yeah.
I am going to shut down.
All right.
Yeah.
I appreciate everybody that's been on.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Pleasure was all yours there, Robert.
Prepper, thanks for the insight, guy.
Yeah.
The everybody in chat, I appreciate it. And even though we did have one little interesting happening today, it's been very well. And I do appreciate everybody keeping things in a way that is productive. I couldn't ask for better people in the chat or on the panels. So I do appreciate y'all for sure.
I appreciate the opportunity to hang out with you, brother. Are we still hanging in there? There was a note in the chat by somebody. Am I staying here?
Yeah, hang out for a minute, Arn. Uwe, hang out.
Okay.
Diego, hang out. Prepper, unfortunately, I have some private business I need to take care of when I shut this down. So
yeah, I'll get going in here. Thanks for letting me come on. Thank you very much.
No problem, Prepper. No problem, guys.
Everyone on the panel, everyone in the audience around the whole world, in Mexico, everywhere. Everyone have a great night. Everyone, all of you, is a good day or a good night. Take care. Thanks for letting me come on the panel. Take care, everyone. Have a great week. See us.
You too, Prepper.
Take care of yourself.
You too.
Take care forever.
See us, ladies and gentlemen.
Chat,
All right.
great job out
Guys.
there. That was a good chat.
Anybody else have the
Either
last
one.
words before I shut this down?
No, I'm good.
I'm good.
All right, I will be shutting down. And oh, wait a minute here, Georgia Peach. Yeah, if you're gonna watch it, you might want to watch it now because I will be deleting this stream. Maybe I don't know.
No,
I'm gonna leave it up.
No, you will be deleting the stream, Robert. Not maybe.
Yeah, you better do. Otherwise, you probably have no channel anymore tomorrow.
Yeah.
So just to be clear, Robert, I'm staying where I am right now. You're just shutting down
Yes,
the YouTube
yes.
side, right? The StreamYard's
Yes.
still going to go, so I'll just stay
Yes.
here. Okay.
All right,
Remember
guys.
yesterday I shut it down by accident and didn't know what the hell I was doing.
All right, guys. Stream will end in 3, 2, 1.